Hello there, and welcome to Dead Reflections Podcast, episode 27. We are your host,
Josh, a.k.a. Drifter Voyages.
Caleb.
and joining us today, special guest. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Rhodes, let's go. We in here today.
It's our boy, Marcus.
Excited, man. Just call me X for short.
If you want, you should say your TikTok handle.
Sweet. Hey, my TikTok handle was Laugh Now, Die Later, pushing 200,000 followers.
Hell yeah.
Hey, jump on board. Hey, happy to be here. Let's do it.
A whole bunch of funnies on there.
So Marcus is our coworker, Caleb and I. We've shared a lot of laughs and a lot of scares so far. And as soon as Marcus told us some stories that he had, we were like, "Oh, you got to be on the podcast."
Oh, yeah.
So
We knew we either had to get you on or we would just record you and then tell your story or something. But I'm glad we were able to get you here in person so you can tell it yourself.
Absolutely.
For a second, I thought you said we were going to record you and then let you know later that we recorded you.
That should have been the way we did it.
Hey, that's funny. But I tell you what, dude, it's pretty freaky out here, man.
Yeah.
you get a nice little Creamer Creek action
man.
out here.
Didn't we have a story about Creamer Creek?
So we do. I guess, do we have a little bit more of the intro? The second part of it? You got here. I got you.
Well,
There you go.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching or listening. New episodes
It's
drop.
like we haven't done this before.
Right. New episodes drop every Friday. Our goal here is to give someone at the table chills. Do you want to do that louder? God. And if we're lucky, we might even send some of those spooks along to you.
Do you want me to do the second part?
Fuck you.
Before we get into the show, we have some FWF updates. This is weird, me doing this part.
I know, we switched it.
August 4th, the Dojo in San Angelo, Texas, with Brightburn and Known Suffer. The August 5th show we had planned in Houston has been postponed. That show will likely be moved to October sometime and possibly at a different venue. So details on that show at a later date. October 9th, West Texas Fear Fest, Rolling 7 Ranch, Odessa, Texas. Cosmic Productions and Sound Deep are setting up that show. October 13th, The Ballroom, Austin, Texas, with Never Rest. October 14th, Harker Heights, Texas, with Estrixion, Everyone Dies in Utah, Rain, and Beyond the Dead. Selling tickets for that one, so hit us up. We always have new shows in the works, as well as shows that are announced are subject to change. Be sure to come out and catch a live set, as well as pick up one of our merch items only available at shows. On the topic of merch, what do y'all have on today?
Shoot. I'm just wearing the Acacia Strain shirt that I've worn before. It's got the goose from the Untitled Goose Game.
With with the knife, right?
Yeah, it's got
God damn, that's
got a
really
like
ridiculous.
nice little steak knife. And then I got the Michael Myers on the hat.
Sweet.
Reppin' Michael Myers.
Let's finish y'all's side of the table first.
Okay, I'm rocking the Dads in Silent Planet and the hat, and then Walmart came through
Oh, nice.
with a Cowboy Bebop shirt. It's like one of my favorite animes of all time. So,
Yes, sir.
yeah.
Very good. So last time we played with a show, we played with this band. This is Through Life, based out of, I believe they're all in the West Texas area.
Yeah.
So all good guys. Taylor is one of the guys that we want to eventually get on here.
Yeah.
And that'll be nice whenever that actually happens. And then
Yeah.
now, our guest, fully kitted out.
Yo.
Yo.
In
Laker hat, Laker shirt, Nike shorts, straight from Marshalls.
He looks like
yeah,
Ready-
$7.99. Let's go.
There you go. Marshall's got some good drip in there.
They
though, man.
really do, man. They
Right.
really do.
I guess we wanted to kick things off with your story first. You wanna go over some other times that you can think of that have been creepy or paranormal aside from
the beefy one.
the main story.
Oh, man, you know.
Like any
outside of the facility that
Yeah,
we're going to be talking
yeah.
about.
So outside of the facility, man, really, man, most of my the really beefy stuff happened at the facility. But outside the facility, man, I've actually dealt with a few different situations. I haven't asked if I can say names or anything like that,
Okay.
but I won't say their names. But
That's fair.
I had a buddy of mine who actually played high school basketball with, and every Friday nights after games, we go to his house, celebrate, have a good time,
Oh yeah.
you know, and his little brother, man, ended up getting like the fucking Xbox 360 when they came out, bro. So
Oh,
everybody was
shit.
like,
Hell yeah.
man, this is 360, you know, it was like, it was 2006, man. It was, we were playing 2K6, man, or something.
Oh,
Jesus
damn.
Christ.
2K, yeah, 2K6, I think that's what it was. Dude, yeah, it's weird to say that now.
As we're approaching 23, right?
So yeah, I know, right? So, you know, we're there all night. We're like, hey, we're gonna stay, man. We're all having a good time. Let's just stay here. The parents are like, yeah, let's do it. So it's about 3:00 in the morning at this point. You know, we're up running. I'm like, hey, man, I'm gonna go to the the kitchen, and I'm gonna grab me something to drink.
Yeah.
You know, so I go in there, and you know, I give me something to drink. I walk back, and all of a sudden, the water faucet just comes on, dude. I mean, the water faucet is running water like I've never seen before, right? I mean, it's full blast. So, you know, I kind of turn around and I look.
This is in the kitchen.
This is in the kitchen. And I turn around and I look, and, you know, I've always told, like, you don't bother it. You just let them do what they got to do, you know, and just stay out of the way. So,
Just don't acknowledge
know,
that shit.
and you know,
We'll get into that in the main story too.
you know, hey, man, I'm one of those, you know, I'm one of those, like, you know, the stereotype, hey, you black, you run first, you think about it later, you know. But, you know, it's like, hey, man, I'm at somebody's house, like, I'm walking, I'm like, hey, I don't know what's going on. Maybe someone with the water, I don't know. So I go, you know, I go back into the room with the buddy, and I say, hey, man, I don't know if you know about this. He was like, yeah, the water's running in it. I was like, yeah, dude.
Oh, so it's common.
Oh,
I said,
dude.
yeah, the water's running.
That confirmation, it's like, fuck.
And I'm like, so that's normal. You know about that, right? He was like, yeah, dude, this is my mom.
Oh shit.
Oh,
And I'm like, wait, what?
Oh, that's interesting.
And I'm like, wait, what? He was like, yeah, it's my mom. She still feels like she needs to help out around here, so she just does the dishes every
She's
now
just
and
washing
then.
dishes.
Just washing dishes.
That's crazy.
At 3 a.m., dude.
Hey, that's like apparently the time when ghosts like to do things.
Dude, so, you know, fast forward to the morning, he's like, man, you need to ask my sister about the situation. So I'm like, okay. So I asked, I was like, hey, you know, the water was running. She was like, yeah. That's weird, but that's mom.
What was
Dude.
that?
If you heard that on the
Yeah,
Yeah.
on the audio, something.
Sounds like
It's-
something fell.
Definitely at the door.
Man, you bring mom over here.
should we,
I hope not, dude.
Should we check the door?
Did that sound like it's outside to you? I thought it was inside.
I don't know.
Kind of
Y'all ain't got no dirty dishes in this bad boy, huh?
I don't think so.
No, but
Oh shit.
I'm kind of the same mentality with everything happening here.
We need to
I'm
light the
just like let
ceremony
let them
candle.
do it.
yeah,
Like-
you have to.
Like
know?
don't freak out about it because if it's not paranormal, then you're freaking out for nothing. And then
Yeah.
if it is,
What can you do?
what can you do?
Yeah, exactly.
I have to bring up something. I've
Okay.
noticed that like usually when we forget to do the ceremonial candle, or if we mess
Some
up,
shit happens.
some shit happens.
Okay. So that's cool.
So I wonder if like the black candle isn't like a thing to like
They're just
welcome it. It's more of like
We got a
repellent.
box of like 500. What if each one's just a tiny little encapsulated soul? Every time we burn, it's releasing a
That
new
makes
soul.
sense.
So
That's why it was freaking like $2,000 on Amazon. I was like,
Oh,
that's the most
Jesus.
expensive candles I've
So-
ever bought.
Oh, man.
that leads me to the question of how you were you think about the paranormal stuff and you just shy away from it. Is that something family taught? Is that something that you just kind of like saw in movies? You're like,
That's-
no, I don't want to deal with that.
That's just something I don't want to deal with,
Okay.
right? And then you do research, and it's like, hey, they don't like change, man, you know, and they don't like
Yeah.
the fact that, you know, you don't, you know, you don't really go into full right acknowledgement of like, hey, man, there's somebody there. You just let them do their thing. Obviously, you know, some are better than others. Like they say some are good, some are.
Yeah.
I've got stories about ones that aren't very good, but you know, in this case, you know, I fast forwarded to the morning, and I asked, you know, the sister, hey, you know, this was going on. Yeah, that was, and she replies, hey, yeah, that was mom. And I'm like, so
crazy.
how long has this
Insane.
been happening? And you know, she kind of gave me the rundown. Well, when mom passed away, about 2 years later after that, she would always hear things in her closet, like in her closet. So yeah, dude, this is 100% true. She's always hearing things in her closet. So one night, you know, she kept on hearing rattle in her closet. She opens up the door, and the shoes are in a circle, and her mom is sitting in the middle of the shoes.
Her
like
mom?
in a circle, like in the
Yeah,
closet.
like they could see.
To
that it's
physically
their
see
mom.
her.
Oh, fuck that.
She cries out. Dude, no. She cries out. She jumps in the bed, cries out, covers her head. She said, I did not come out of the covers the rest of the night. Next morning, she opens her closet. The shoes are in the exact same spot in the circle.
Oh, so it wasn't like she was
It
dreaming.
wasn't a dream,
or
dude. I woke up the next morning. The shoes were in the exact same spot.
Oh,
From that
fuck
day
me.
forward, she realized that it wasn't something that was going to hurt her,
Yeah.
but there was something. Obviously, mom wanted to help still, right?
Yeah.
Whether it was rack the clothes, whether it was do the dishes, whatever it was, mom wanted to be a part. Dad was remarried,
Ooh.
right? But mom wanted to be a part. So that's where change comes in, right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
change.
She
If
said-
somebody new there,
She said, "You can bring another bitch
you can
in,
bring
but I'm
her-
staying
hey,
here."
But I'm staying. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna take care of mine. Yeah. So that's that one right there really kind of put me over the edge, man, because I seen the water, man, just
Yeah.
flying out of the faucet, dude. Just like,
Do you remember temperature being a thing?
man, you know what? I don't remember, man. I
Okay.
really don't remember.
'Cause
But
I've-
at that point, you don't remember temperature,
Yeah,
man.
Yeah,
It
you're
was
Well,
not thinking about it.
dude.
So there's other stories where the water will like just come on out of nowhere, and it's usually harder pressure than they've ever seen before, and it's
Right.
steaming hot.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like that
yeah,
you can
so-
tell that it's hot, but it
Now,
wasn't. And that's,
I don't remember that close because it was.
oh yeah,
like-
you're just fleeting moment.
It was kind of one of those like, hey, the light over the sink wasn't on, but the lights, you know how the lights are round, so it's like, you have that special lighting that's just kind of in this area, and
Yeah.
it's just like freaky, bro. Like what really is this? What's going on right now, man? So
I remember the first time you told me that, and you telling it again, got to the closet, and I'm like, oh shit.
yeah, dude.
Dude, I haven't heard these stories. That's freaky.
Dude.
Man.
Yeah.
So I guess that might be the perfect segue. That's the perfect little bite-sized story.
Yeah.
The candle is lit, and I think we're settled into the creepy vibe.
Yeah.
I'm feeling pretty creepy right now,
So
bro. Like,
if
yeah.
you're up for it, can you walk us through the day you got hired and
Okay.
things you heard moving forward?
So this is the story of Marcus Rhodes about Monogram Foods.
So little background on Monogram, right? So Monogram was originally called Double B,
Okay.
Okay.
which Double B was a jerky plant that was there prior to Monogram, right? So Double B shut down for about 10 years. Monogram came into town. Hey, we need a plant. We want Double B, right? So there's stories of guys going in, right, and you know they're cleaning the place and getting it ready for
Yeah,
you know,
because it was shut down for 10 years,
shut
right?
down
Okay.
like these huge cobwebs, man, with spiders like ridiculously sized. This guy, particularly we called him Shorty. I mean, he was really short. We called him Shorty, and he would tell us stories about, man, like it was. I mean, there was just spider webs everywhere. Like you open these doors to the hallways, and there's webs just going down. You know, so
Okay.
it's like, okay, this is what we have to clean up, right? And so you getting it all ready, and you know, fast forward back in 2014. It was actually right before my son was born when I actually started there in 2016. You know, no, 2000. So it was January 16th, 2014. That's what it was.
Oh, okay.
And that's when I started at Monogram.
That's crazy that you remember the exact
I remember
Yeah.
the exact date because my wife, you know, got induced. Shortly after that is when I started. So, you know, I'm in the plant. You know, I'm figuring everything out. You work some places where you're like, man, like you look in some of those doors, you're like, man, it looks weird in
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
And then so, you know, I automatically get there, and my brother tells me, my brother was working there at the time. He was like, hey man, he was like, what area are you working in? He was like, oh, I'm working in the pool room. So the pool room was right in front of two dry rooms, which we stored product, and then Smokehouse 12. Smokehouse 12 is reportedly where most of the activity happens.
Man, they are so good at naming things. And
Yeah,
it's scary.
I know, dude. Right? So Smokehouse 12 is a we used to call it the quote unquote the Harriet Tubman Tunnel. because it was this dark tunnel that you walked through to get from one side of the hallway to the other.
Underground
Yeah,
railroad.
So
Was it underground?
it wasn't, but it was under smokehouses,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it was boxed in.
Yeah.
You
It
walk
was
right through.
encased in all
Exactly.
this, yeah.
So, a lot of times, you go back there and you just feel like this wind, like this sense of wind, like, dude, what is really going on here, right? So, I started asking questions like, hey, man, like, do y'all, like, anything weird ever happens here? He was like, my brother told me, he was like, hey, you're gonna hear a lot of stories when you get back there. He was like, I don't know if they're true or not, but some people say that they're true, but everybody has the same story, right? So,
Oh shit.
so I'm like, okay, wait.
So everybody's got to be seeing the same
So
shit,
everybody's
you
seeing
know?
the same thing, and everybody calls her the quote unquote the little girl.
Oh boy.
So the little girl is like,
Fuck you, dude.
she's all, the little girl is all in, dude. Like, I don't know if that sound was creepy, but that kind of sounds like the little girl. Like you.
That was my daughter.
Oh no! Whoa, my God! Dude, that's pretty freaky.
Yeah. I
So-
had no idea when they did that. He contacted my wife and was like, "Can you record, y'all's daughter laughing?" And then he made it into a
Wow,
thing.
dude, that's pretty good, and that's very freaky. So I'm at this point I'm maybe 2 months in to working at Monogram.
So you're starting to get the hang of
I'm starting to get the
everything.
hang of everything. Hey, I haven't ran into it. I haven't had any encounters. So I start working my way up to a position to where I'm able to work hand in hand with like management teams. So right, so I'm doing more of administrative things other than just working on the floor. So I get up to this point, right, and we're sitting there and we're talking, and all these different stories start coming out, right?
Oh boy.
By the plant manager.
Oh.
So it's not just anybody who's just
Yeah.
like, hey, this is the plant manager. So when this place was opened up, while they were doing the cleaning, you're thinking 10 years, right? This is a 10-year span. Like, nothing in this place should work at this point. Like, there's no way there's a battery
didn't
that's
even
going to
think
last for
about
10
that.
years. Right.
Yeah.
So they're walking through the sawdust room. And there's one forklift sitting in the sawdust room, just one forklift, and wood all over the floor, like plywood all over the floor.
Listen, who? I haven't heard this.
So all of a sudden, the forklift horn, ding, 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 just going crazy. This place nobody's been in this place for 10 years.
That battery had to be dead.
The battery had to be
Yeah.
dead.
There's no way.
It's going crazy. So they run out. Obviously, we don't know what the situation is.
Yeah.
They run out, makes her way back up to the front before they started fixing up, which was like the more like not the break room downstairs, but it was more for like management. It had, sink, stove. I mean,
Yeah.
it was somewhere for them to, make their food and chill and everything.
It's like the teacher's lounge. but
Exactly.
for,
Yeah, basically the teacher's lounge. So they go upstairs just to find out that, as they're, cleaning up the office area, all the cabinet doors fly open and dishes fly out to the floor. Bam, bam, bam. This is a true story, dude. Dishes fly all around on the floor, break all over the floor. Nothing's been changed there for 10 years. You start touching stuff and, things are
They're fucking
changing.
with
Start
There's people coming
disturbing.
in, you start disturbing, right? So all this stuff starts happening.
It's like building on like a burial ground. You disturb the ground.
Exactly. Funny thing is, Monogram is actually built over a burial ground.
Like an Indian burial
Had
ground?
to
Yes,
be. It
an
had to
Indian burial ground.
Where the fuck is this place? I'm
I-
never
It's in
going.
Schulenburg.
I
It's in
remember the
Schulenburg.
first time
right
hearing this story.
Right across the freaky thing is right across the pavement that you drive on to park is the cemetery.
I remember hearing this story for the first time from him, and I was like this place has to be like, there's got to be something causing, like there's no way all of this shit happens in one place, for like just no like. like either someone's like several people had to have died,
Yeah.
or it's on top of like where dead people are buried.
Exactly.
And then he came
that's
and
what
then
I
he
told
told
him.
me that detail, and I was like, all right, that
That
makes
makes
sense.
sense. Yeah.
Man,
Checks out.
who
That
is
checks
in
out.
charge of putting that on there? Oh man.
So I'll tell you another story. You know, more, and it's a lot of stuff.
This
That
is all. This
So
is
that
all.
was all
shit.
stuff that
I've
happened.
worked here 7.5 years, so I can tell you,
Yeah.
I've physically seen things, man, and I know
So,
people who have.
At the
Like,
point right now, the things that you've told us are just you're new to the job. And
I'm
this
new
is
to
what
the job.
This is what
Yeah.
you're being
this
told.
is what I'm being told.
Gotcha.
So, you know, I get with my mom because I'm worried at this point. It's like, hey, I'm hearing stories about this,
Which she also works.
which she also still works there.
Oh wow.
Nice.
Yeah. Until this day, dude, she will say stuff. Hey, that little girl acting up again. You know, it's normal. It's
Man.
normal at this point, right? So
They should let us do like an overnight over there.
We
dude,
talked about it.
when I tell you, when you walk into that place, you can feel the freakiness. I showed him pictures
Oh yeah.
of the plant. Like
Well,
We'll probably need to get those from you.
It's
Yeah.
Oh, I
pretty.
have.
Okay.
It's pretty freaky.
Like they started doing renovations.
doing
to it.
renovations now.
And he one of the people there
Yeah.
sent him photos.
Yeah.
And he showed me, and it is, even though it's like new material, it is the creepiest fucking hallway picture I've seen in my life,
It's-
and we're gonna make it. We're gonna use it for a fucking like
No, it's pretty.
album art someday.
You should.
It's terrifying.
It's pretty terrifying, man. So, you know, I get what you ask my mom, like, hey, you know, like what really goes on around here? Like, I want to know now. I'm all in. Like, man, what is this? Like, I'm working here. Obviously, I'm not going to quit my job because of some stories that people are telling me.
Right.
Like, I want to experience this for myself. Not
And then I'll quit my job.
And then I quit. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, then I'll quit.
Right. So.
Let me get scared as shit.
And then I quit. Yeah, you know. So my mom tells me, so there's these things called trees. So a tree is a rack that we push down a smokehouse hallway, right? So you load houses. So before we renovated to 13, 14, and 15, 12, Smokehouse 12, the freaky one with the tunnel, was the biggest smokehouse that you would load. So there's nothing inside of it. It's dark, completely dark. You pushing trees. You load them left to right, all the way
That's
to
another
the
thing.
16.
Why is it dark?
It's dark, no lights, dude. I don't know.
Did they just like, nah, we don't need lights.
Yeah,
in
you
here.
know, yeah, it's a smokehouse. Just keep it
Also,
dark.
can you elaborate on trees?
So a tree
What
is
exactly is it?
So a tree is a rack. It's a metal rack.
It's got wheels.
With wheels, and there's 20 screens, 20 to 22 screens,
And
like
they, and, they're,
load up
and,
the-
they,
and they load the product.
and it's set on a track in the
And
ground.
it sets on a So no, it does not
No.
sit on the track. It just sets on the ground.
Okay.
It's just
So-
got wheels. So the craziest thing though to me is the weight.
Yes.
So-
So the weight, these things weigh every bit of 1,500 to 1,800 pounds.
Oh, whoa.
But they're on wheels. It's easier to push,
Yeah.
but it is a workout.
It takes a grown man.
Yeah, you gotta really want to work there to do that, right? So yeah. So my mom then tells me, you know, you see how heavy these trees are,
Yeah.
and she tells me, she says, hey, she was like, they will roll off by themselves. Like somebody will push these trees down this hallway, like down this, not the hallway, but through the doors to get to
Yeah.
the hallway. Somebody will push that tree to the opening of the hallway. Nobody's at the tree. It's moving itself.
What the?
And there's been several people
And
who've
it's
seen this
several
happen.
people who've seen it happen.
Like they just see it like roll
It just
up.
takes off. Like slowly. Not anything that's just taking off. It's slowly just
And like,
creeping away.
and like normally, if something that heavy is like rolling down something on a slope, it's
gonna roll.
gonna pick up speed.
Oh, yeah,
Exactly.
and it'll
Right?
freaking.
Yeah.
No.
Same speed.
So the
all the way.
reason why it was figured out that it was rolling, because somebody one day was actually getting ready to load a tree, and then this one just comes rolling back, and they're like, hey, and it stops
smacks.
right behind the guy.
Oh, doesn't smack it.
No, it doesn't smack it. It stops.
Oh,
So-
fuck.
So these things are, you 1,500 pounds. These are hard for me to pull sometimes.
That
you
little
know,
ghost girl swole as fuck.
somebody's swole as fuck. And these trees are moving themselves. So I'm like, man, I have to see this. Like I don't.
Oh, so you were like putting
So-
them in places?
Yeah, so
and
I'm
shit?
doing them. I'm just like, man, I don't know about this. Like, let's really find out what's going on.
Oh, you tested it out?
So no, I didn't test it out. I just wanted to, see.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, man, these are all
He's
stories,
gonna,
man.
he's gonna let it happen naturally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I go right. I got this new position, right? I go into the pool room where I started because I would always go over there and talk to the guys who work there.
Yeah.
You know, just kind of mess around. And when we would be done loading our smokehouses, we would typically get done around 12 o'clock. I would work my way back to the other side and just kind of help out.
Yeah.
So there's these boxes of gloves. There's boxes of gloves, man. I mean,
We both worked in the food industry, so
Yeah.
you know, you have to,
Yeah.
you know, you gotta,
knows
you
what box
know,
gloves like.
it's plastic gloves.
Yeah.
So I'm dumping trees. I rip my glove because the screens are pretty. I mean, they're pretty sharp. I rip my gloves, so I take them off, and all of a sudden, this is my first encounter. So I walk over to the other side of the table, where nobody else was working, and there's this little cutoff about, you know, kind of a triangle cutoff, and the gloves sit in this triangle cutoff.
Okay.
All of a sudden, I'm walking around, the gloves lift up and bam onto the table. Like lift up out of the air. I seen this for myself. They lift up out of the air and bam onto the table.
Was it the whole box?
The
of gloves?
whole
whole
box
box.
of gloves.
They were like, put your fucking gloves on.
yeah,
man."
yeah.
Oh, fuck
A
that.
whole box of gloves, dude, and bam, slam on the table.
Like,
So I look back at everybody else, and nobody's, you know, they're just like whatever. They don't notice what I've just
Yeah.
seen. And I turn back around,
they just
so
see
I-
you freaked out.
they just see me freaked out, like.
Yeah.
So I pick up my 4 gloves, 2 for each hand, pick them up, put them on, and I turn around and I walk off. I don't say anything.
Don't touch it.
Do not touch it.
Leave it
She
where
like,
it lies.
man, them food safety people gonna come and
Oh.
you're wearing your gloves.
Oh, man,
You get in
dude.
trouble. Put your goddamn gloves on. That's fucking freaky.
It's
so
wild.
It
We've
literally
heard.
lifted the box
Lifted.
up.
I seen the box, man. Like I cannot make this up. I
Like
seen.
you can't be like,
I-
oh, it was the wind.
No,
Like, you know,
no.
like,
I mean, you gotta think. You got a box sitting in a
Yeah.
in a triangle, right? And it comes up about this high. I mean, this box.
that's
lifts
literally like
up.
someone picking it up and
And
being like, here.
exactly. That's my first thought. Like,
Like,
oh
for-
That was your
shit.
first
For people who
thing-
don't
That was
work,
my first encounter.
for people who don't work in the food industry, like these box of gloves, like at least weigh like
like
like a
6
pound.
pounds. Maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
they,
it's
they're hefty.
Yeah.
Like, it's like picking up a box of Kleenex.
Yeah.
But like a little
yeah, they're
heavier.
not just regular
Yeah.
rinky dink. They're heavy duty gloves.
And I
meant
mean,
for,
when there's no explaining.
there's
that.
no way. You know, there's no way. You can't move that. You couldn't blow wind on that and move that. You know, so they lift up and they drop out, and you know, I'm at this point, I am fucking freaked out.
Like what a way to intro. Hey, by the way, I'm here. Boom. Like
So I walk back
Oh,
over.
you the new guy.
So I walk back over. I walk back over, and I'm like,
oh, so there's more after that?
oh man, this is the start of the fun.
This is just the beginning, Josh.
Oh god.
Oh yeah.
I'm
So I-
already sweating.
So I walk back over. And I'm just like, hey, the gloves just lifted up off the table. And there's a few people in there who've been there a while. They're like, oh, that's just a little girl. That's the
Helping you out.
that's the response to everything. Oh, that's just a little girl. So I get, you know, I start obviously figuring out like, okay, there's definitely something going on here. I
Yeah.
know now, I've seen it now. I have to really, I don't know if I trust this place at this point. You know, I gotta watch, you know, I'm watching what I'm doing. I'm like, man, and my eyes are just open, everything. Like I notice every little thing. Doors open, close, bam. Doors open, close, bam. And it's
Oh,
at that point,
shit.
it's a little girl. You just take it for what it is. It's a little girl. She's running. She's having a good time. Just let her play.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, cool. You know, that's, you know, one of our QA managers, which is quality control. Our quality control manager, she would come every day at 4:00 in the morning. And that's when she would do her prepping before everybody else shows up at the job. The only person that's there is one of the pers works night shift. And he works from, or two, they work from, say, 10 o'clock at night to like 6 o'clock in the morning.
Also, is your shift night shift?
No,
No.
my shift is day shift.
So that shit was happening.
That
in
was
broad
during
daylight.
the day. Broad daylight.
Oh man.
So I had another guy, 2 guys who came in from 10 to 6. And that was our night shift crew. So it's 4:00 in the morning, your QA person comes in, checks everything. Cool. Some mornings we would have to come in because we would be short a person. So
Yeah.
we would come in at 4 and work from say 4 to 4,
Yeah.
whatever it was. So one morning we came in at 4 o'clock in the morning, and our QA manager is like over the hill spooked. She's hearing somebody saying, you know, her name in like this high pitch, like Josh.
Why did they use my name?
I'm just saying.
He's not gonna name drop the
I
person.
know,
Yeah.
I know.
So,
I'm just
and
kidding.
that's what she's hearing. So she's freaked out.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
oh
that's
man,
so
I can't.
fucked
I'm
up.
not going back in there. Well, where is it happening at? Between Smokehouse 12. Smokehouse 12 has literally been like some of the freakiest experiences that you'll ever that
man.
you'll ever see. Like, we've seen clouded figures going down the hallway, going from this little sawdust room, a new sawdust room where
Yeah.
we kept like most of our chemicals and stuff. You would see a shadow figure, a cloudy figure come out of that door, go by 12, go through that way.
So it would like
It would
go
come through
out,
the door.
turn, go into another.
It had a place to be.
Yeah.
People have
Oh.
been touched. People
Oh.
have been. She has been seen by many people. She has touched people.
Nothing like aggressive, just like
No,
poking.
nothing
or,
aggressive. Just
Well,
hey, I'm
or
here.
scratching or.
I'm here.
Well,
Now we're gonna get to now we're gonna get to an aggressive when we find out, hey, maybe there's something more here, right?
Uh-huh.
So
Oh god.
we had this guy. He was from Angola, Africa.
Oh.
He was from Africa.
Oh man. Well, that's cool.
So he'll probably never see this video. So his name was Oliveira.
Oliveira.
yeah.
Oliveira.
Yeah.
His name was Oliveira. He's from Angola.
Let's call him Ollie.
Ali. That's what we called him.
Yeah.
That's how did you know that?
You told us.
Yeah.
Oh, I
like,
was like,
whoa.
man, wait, hold up, man. So yeah, we called him Ollie. So Ollie starts working at the plant. He doesn't believe in any of this stuff.
Oh, it's like
Screw it.
super like.
Oh,
skeptic,
super,
like-
yeah, just like, fuck the little girl, like,
Oh, he's like talking shit.
he's talking mad shit.
Oh,
So
He's not. He's a religious,
he's a religious man,
but in his own religion.
and his yes,
so like
so it's
entities
like a different-
of
yes.
of damn, this is freaking out.
So
he doesn't think that like all the spirits and stuff here are like
what they, I mean, I don't know how you would what they, experience. I don't know how you want to put it.
he's like these people don't follow my religion.
Exactly.
So like
Exactly. It's not real. Like,
Yeah.
fuck it.
yeah.
So Oliveira says, some really crazy, some stuff. He's like, fuck that little girl.
provoking. Like,
Yes, like constantly. One night, dude, listen to this. One night, after I tell you the story, Ollie quit after this. He quit the job. He now lives in.
Bro.
Yeah. After I tell you this story, you'll probably see why he left.
He lives on like the East Coast now, right?
Yeah. I want to say
Like
He
Virginia.
moved. He was like, I'm getting the fuck out of
Maryland.
here.
Yo, he got the fuck out of Dodge.
GTFO, bro.
So, Ollie is saying, all this stuff, right? Ollie ends up, like, one night he's pushing trees into Smokehouse 12. This is
course.
into
There's a
Smokehouse,
pattern here.
into Smokehouse 12. So typically what we would do, the space is probably from here to where Caleb's sitting, and you push off the wall because there's a ramp, obviously, before
Oh,
you go
yeah.
into the house. You got to get a little, and some people you don't have to use it. Some people they just aren't strong enough. Ollie was maybe 120 pounds soaking wet, African dude, just skinny guy, man, eats ginger and shit, so he wasn't very strong, but I mean, he was a really good worker.
yeah.
So that night, Ollie ended up trying to push that tree into the house, could not get it in the ramp. He felt like something was pushing it back down from letting him get it into Smokehouse 12. So he would go up the ramp, come back down, go up the ramp, come back down, couldn't get it. And then one time he pushed it so hard it came back down, it actually like hit his lip, and
Oh,
it
so
busted
like-
his
oh, yeah,
and
they
it busted
shoved
his
it.
lip, like it pinned him against the wall and it busted his lip a little bit. I'm not saying it was a little girl that did it, but he was trying to figure out, man, like, why can't I push it in here?
Yeah.
All of a sudden, he gets the worst headache that he's ever had in his life.
Oh.
Like, just the worst headache. So he goes behind smokehouses 13, 14, and 15, which is the newly renovated smokehouses behind 12. So it has its own separate little area,
Yeah.
3 brand new Alcar smokehouses, like these stainless steel stairs that go up to the top of the smokehouses. So he's sitting on the first couple, I'm gonna say the first couple steps up. He's sitting there. He said, I got my head down. So let me tell you, we used to wear lanterns, like that you clock in and out with, and you just wear them around your
lanyards.
neck. Yeah.
Okay.
And you just wear them around your neck, clock in, clock out. That's how you get, your punches
Yeah.
and stuff in. So he's sitting there. His head is throbbing. It's killing him. All of a sudden, his lantern starts rising up, and it's choking him at this point. Sitting on the smokehouse steps, dude, and behind smokehouse
What
13.
the fuck?
It's choking him. He screams, dude. He screams. He runs out of smokehouse from behind smokehouse 13, 14, and 15. Runs out, immediately calls his pastor and tells him what just happened. And he told him, he was like, man, mean to tell you, this guy knows nothing about the area that we're in. He tells him, that place was, you should definitely be careful about the things that you do and the things you say, because this place was actually built over Indian burial ground.
Oh shit! He already knew.
He knew.
Fucking A, dude.
He knew.
Man, this is real, man. You
This-
see
no, no.
TikTok videos and shit, and you're just like, oh, whatever. But this man is telling me.
No, this is real, man. Like,
This is real life, motherfucker.
I cannot make this up. Like, I cannot make this shit up, man. Like,
I'm having nightmares.
it's really freaky when, you got your people calling you like, hey, man, like it's something going on in here.
Like you'll have coworkers calling you all the time. Be like,
Well,
man,
my workers, because we worked late.
Oh,
we
so you
worked.
know.
We were there more than anybody else. The
Yeah.
smokehouse was its own area. Like, you don't know what happens in the smokehouse unless you walk through the halls and go to the smokehouse.
Yeah,
You know
yeah,
what I'm
yeah.
saying? So,
And I forgot when you told me this the first time. It didn't even click. But like headaches are like demonic. Like
oh, it is.
yeah.
and
Oh,
also,
bro.
demons are known to mimic, especially children, because
Yeah.
it allows them to be around you more. Like,
Damn, that's
you
crazy.
accept
We
that
just had
more.
a story that touched
Dude, I
on
didn't
that.
even know that.
Yeah. Like they
Caleb's like,
supposedly demons. It's easy to take a form of a child.
Yeah.
and they kind of prefer it. 'cause-
So-
yeah.
So,
That makes your
Ali.
stories even scarier.
Yeah, it's freaky. So Ali, right, realizes like, man, like that.
Fucked
Maybe
up.
I shouldn't have said what I said. Everything from the processing the meat to us smoking the meat went to complete shit. Smokehouses were cranking up 400 degrees. Like we were
fuck?
burning meat, man. Like I've
Wait,
never
yeah,
been in this situation
Wasting
before.
a lot of product.
We were burning meat, like to the fact that smokehouses were spiking like to temperatures that we couldn't control. And then they would go back down. They would spike up and go back down without us touching the smokehouses. I'm telling you,
weird.
man, dude, I wish I would have videos on my phone I would have to send to my managers and show them like, look, the temperature's jumping up to like 600 and then it'll go back down and cook regular.
What the
At that point, Ollie's still working with us, dude. We had to call a guy named Gary Dunlap.
Oh,
He-
that name sounds familiar. I might
His
know
name
it.
is Gary Dunlap. He is from Philadelphia, and he is he's a consultant. He comes in and he figures out like a food science guy,
Yeah.
like figure out, hey, what's going on? How can we fix this? How can we fix this?
Yeah.
He worked with us for 3 months. Could never figure out what the issue is, right? This 3 months is when he kind of came to the conclusion like, okay, like I could never figure this out, but something changed from the time I started working with y'all until 3 months later
Like
when
Like atmosphere wise or something.
so everything just started getting back to normal. And there was nothing that he did that could fix what
Yeah.
he tried. Maybe 40, 50 different cycles, ingredients to try to fix our cooks. He couldn't do it. He called me with the conclusion, like, look, man, I've been gone from that place for, at this point, 3 months, and I cannot yet figure out like what really happened.
What the fuck?
So we started playing it back. Ollie leaves 2 weeks after the whole incident happened. I mean, he missed work so much, we probably should have just fired him. He was scared to work at nights. So he missed work so much that he just ended up saying, like, you know, man, I can't do this. Like, I'm not going to come. I'm just not going to work here anymore. So he ends up leaving. The day that he leaves, the day later, everything goes back to normal. We went from cooking product for 24 hours, dude, to like 9.
What the fuck? It's like a day and night difference.
Day and night when he left. Gary, to this day, cannot figure out what happened. And he finally came to the conclusion. He said, Marcus, I always thought that y'all were playing around when y'all said what y'all would say. He said, but I think it was a little girl.
That man even admitted to it.
He admitted to it, dude.
Dude, completely from
Completely
outside.
from outside. He lives in Philadelphia.
My heart can't take this shit.
And 100% told me, I actually called him. I tried to call him
Yeah, I
at
was
work one
about to say,
day.
did you get a hold of him?
And I talked to him, and he actually called me back when I got to the house.
Yeah.
And I said, man, I said, some buddies of mine at work, they're doing a podcast, man, about scary shit, paranormal. I said, and I wanted you to say something about the little girl. And he was like, oh, man. He was like, I still don't understand that situation, man. Like, what really happened? But it was when Ollie left.
That's like a what do they call that? Basically someone that's licensed, or you know, like usually
Oh,
like
just-
police or something.
Yeah,
like,
just add some merit to it.
yeah, it adds merit to the story even more. That you know, this guy who that was his job to fix.
That was
the
his
problem.
job. Yes.
And then
Authority
he's like,
figures, yeah.
Authority
Yeah.
figures, yeah. And he couldn't.
And he couldn't fix it.
And then
And
he admitted that it could.
He admitted. This guy works for a $1 billion company probably, and that's all. Like you said, that's all that he did, and he could not figure out what was going on with our smokehouses. And we got to the point to where we would have these sessions with the plant managers, all the plant manager, all the other supervisors, me, moms, different people, different areas, and we would do. We called them. When you kind of sit down and just kind of view the product, I forgot the word that we called them, but we would do it every morning with the product that was coming out because we were trying to
Little
figure out.
quality control.
Yeah, like a
Yeah.
quality control. Dude, the pieces would be hard as rocks. Like we could not sell it. Like there was no way you can take it and pop, like they would pop.
Like a
hard
stick?
like a stick.
Oh man.
The pieces were hard as rock. Dude, we're not supposed to be like that. Could not figure out. Plant manager knew exactly what it was. And I mean, literally, like half our management team, dude, asked Ollie, like, man, can you just please apologize for what you said? Like, it's that in depth, man. Like can you please apologize? And Ollie just got to the point to where he was like, man, I can't work there no more. Like he quit, man.
And then for it to all just go back
And then
to normal.
all go back to normal within
Dude,
24 hours.
Ollie,
man.
if you ever listen to this, man, like, still, you should probably apologize.
I know, right? Man, I know, man. And it's, you know, it was freaky. It was pretty freaky, man. Just kind of being there.
Yeah.
And I was one of the ones who was trusted by, you know, people higher up in corporate to fix things like this, right?
They're like, dude, what the fuck
Like,
is
what's going on,
yeah.
man? Our yields are terrible. Like, you know, what's going on with the product, dude? I had no answer for him, dude. Like I had nothing.
So, to bring up the demonic thing that we were saying, that it could be a demon. So they're known. I've never heard of them like making food like shitty, but they make food rotten. Like that's a thing. Like food being completely fine at 1 second and then turning around and being rotten like the next. I've heard that story before.
Yeah.
So like in a way, it's like the same thing that what you're saying, where it was fucking up your food so much. Like hell, it could have been cooked perfectly, and then as it's coming out, all of a sudden it's fucked up. Like they can do it like that fast. Like
Yeah.
that's all I was thinking about.
You wanna
That's a demon disguised as a little girl.
Yeah.
you want to tell them about the time you came in by yourself?
Oh, God.
Oh my
shit, there's something worse than what's already happened.
Dude,
Hold on, let me
So-
adjust. My ass crack is really sweaty.
this is. Are you familiar with the chili spill in Flatonia?
No.
It's the big
It's like-
festival.
it's like our
carnival.
fair.
Oh.
It's like a yeah.
Something fell again.
Yeah, I heard it.
Dude, she's probably in here.
And the candle's like already almost gone, and it's only been like 45 minutes.
Dude. So it's this thing called the chili spill, right? It's the big festival, Flatonia. So one of my right hand men who was actually the supervisor now there since I left out, he was next up obviously in line. He ended up going to the chili spill, and he got so fucked up he couldn't make it to work the next day. So his name is Joe Garcia. I will say his name because dude,
Hear this, Joe?
that's my boy, man, and he knows, dude. He knows this. He knows
You need to watch your drinking,
exactly
Joe.
what I'm about to say. So he ends up not being able to make it because he's fucked. You know, hey,
Yeah.
I'm having a good time. Friends in town. Hey, man, let's go hard. Whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm like, hey, man, it's only one smokehouse left. I'll go take care of it, right?
Yeah.
So with Smokehouse 9, Smokehouse 9 is dead center in the middle of all
Like
of
the whole
it goes
facility.
from 2 to 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So 9 is literally if I opened up my door to our Smokehouse lab, I take a right,
And it's like
walk past Smokehouse 8, and the Smokehouse 9 is right there, which was also our smallest smokehouse, right? So I'm like, it's 6 trees, screw it.
Yeah.
You know, you're not feeling good, bro. Let me handle it. So,
That's a good like leadership quality.
yes, sir, man. I appreciate it, man. So, you know, I go in there and you unload them from the back door. So, right, so you open up both front doors, and then you walk around to the back because it's too small to walk in between, and then it's dark as shit. These trees are probably 500 degrees. I'm not gonna burn myself, so you walk around the back, right, and you open it up, and you know there's a little small door that you pull. You can only load through Smokehouse 9. So I pull out the first tree. I take it into drying room 6. So you have drying room 6 and drying room 7. So drying room 6 was the closest. Drying room 7 was the one over. So I take the tree, park it in drying room 6. You know, park it there. I come back. I get the second tree, park it into drawing room 6. And mean to tell you, I put them like fairly close together.
Yeah.
So I'm getting this third tree. All of a sudden, the lights in the back hallway are flickering on and off. Like I'm seeing this physically, man. I'm telling you right now, dude. I can't make this shit up. Like I'm physically seeing
Like
these lights.
you're like watching it.
I'm
like-
just looking like, and I make the comment. I never forget. I make the comment. I said, "Man, not today." You know, like why?
myself,
I am the.
He said nope.
You know,
no.
I'm
said
thinking right now. I'm the only person in this plant, man. Like not today, man.
So was it like? Did it seem like someone was like flicking the light switch?
Yes, it was like
Oh, shit.
it was just like a quick like on and off, on
Yeah.
and off, on and off, and I'm like, dude, like this is,
Oh,
and
fuck,
and, there,
man.
and mean to tell you, there is nowhere in there that you can physically go flip a switch.
Oh,
Like
what?
these lights, just like from up top, I guess they've. This place is old, dude. You
Yeah.
gotta think.
I was like it has a switch
So
on
it's
the light.
yes. So it's
Oh, wow.
somewhere that you
Whoa, whoa.
So like
So
high
they
up
all
on the
have
ceiling.
little pulleys, and they're all going.
Or they got like little switches on.
No, they're little. So the actual switches for these things, it's like a square box that you kind of put this little tool inside of it, and you switch it that way. But they're on top of
Of
the
the
roof, like
fucking-
the ceiling. They're not down to where I can physically go over there and just turn off the light to the smokehouse. I
Oh
can't.
god,
So
this
they're
story is
always-
getting
they're
always
freakier
on.
by the
They're
second.
always on, 24/7,
Yeah.
always
Oh,
on. You don't
motherfucker.
turn those lights off. The only light that we could turn off is the one that's in our smokehouse lab,
Yeah.
and you could flick it off and go. So
Oh, man.
I'm going to get this third tree. As these lights are flickering, I hear down the hallway just like somebody's walking, like feet, dude. So I peek through the door. This is the third tree in the smokehouse. So I peek through the door.
You
dude,
are a brave motherfucker. Oh, hell no.
dude. I poked through the door, and I'm like, dude, nobody's here. And usually maintenance is supposed to be there, so I'm automatically assuming now, okay, somebody from maintenance is here.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing. They're just walking through the hallway. I just missed them. You know, that's what I'm thinking. In my
Writing
head.
it off.
I'm writing it off, bro. So I take tree number 3 out, and as I'm going into the smokehouse, the drying room 6, dude, the 2 that I put there, one, bam, slams into it. I'm talking about ridiculously hard, man.
Like there was like there had been this.
I told you a while ago that I gapped them.
Yeah.
Dude, it sounded like it seemed like they were so far away, and something just pushed it like smack dab into that.
Right as you're like
Right as I'm behind it. So the handles are behind the tree, so I'm looking through. I gotta look through screens, bro. You gotta think. You got 20 racks on a tree. I'm looking through screens like this to kind of navigate where you're going. So I'm looking through, and all of a sudden this tree just bam. So I'm like, fuck. So I push it. I just push it. Boom. And I
like,
walk out.
done.
And I walk out. I go back into drying. I go back into smokehouse 9. I get the 4th tree. Here's the hallway again. So I push my tree. I go back, look in the hallway. There's nobody here.
Did you
So-
say you checked the parking lot too?
That's after. So I go back, get the 5th tree, push it in there. Dude, I'm done at this point. Fuck how they're lined up. I am done. I get tree number 6, take it in there. Dude, I didn't do paperwork. I didn't do anything. I got the fuck out like as quick as I could. Mean to tell you, dude, the lights are still flickering, dude.
the whole time.
As I'm doing all this, dude, the lights are still flickering.
They
I'm
did not
freaked
like
out,
what- they did
and
not
I
like what you
feel
were doing.
and I felt like something was like
Yeah.
not that obviously somebody was just standing next to me, but I felt like something was like
Watching you,
something
or-
was around, like somebody was there, like it. It was goosebumps, man. It was just that sense of like,
That
fuck,
energy.
man, like the energy,
Yeah.
like dude, something is here, somebody is here. So I go, I don't even go back into the lab. I get the fuck out of Dodge. So I'm like, okay, there's nobody else here in this plant. I don't see another car. So I drive to the back in my truck. And I look where maintenance usually parks. There's not a single person from maintenance there.
So you were the only.
And I
fucking person.
called the guy who was supposed to be working that shift, and he told me, "No, man, I have not been up there today." Somebody was walking down the hallway, dude, as I was unloading the houses. And
Did you say there was a coworker that you knew that drug his feet?
yeah. So Junior was one of our coworkers who, he literally, that's how he walked.
Yeah, he just kind of shuffled.
Obviously, he wasn't there. I'm the only one there. I took the role to say, hey, man, it's a Saturday morning. I'm going to come in and take care of the responsibility. And ended up freaking me the fuck out. I've never did it again. That's the kind of shit that happened there.
Dude.
I'm gonna end it with this one, man. This was our plant manager. Smokehouse 2 became one of our abandoned smokehouses towards the end of my time.
Abandoned? Like y'all
Yeah,
just
like
didn't
we
use it
just
anymore.
didn't use it anymore. We had signs on the door, do not use the house. It was more for like storage. So behind Smokehouse 2 was pretty damn rusted, pipes everywhere, nothing covered, just steam coming out of pipes. That's, from fucking smokehouses way down the hallway, which
Yeah.
why steam coming out of here, I don't know, but I guess it's not up to me to figure out. So plant manager walks in and I'm sitting in the lab, dude, and all I hear is, Marcus. So I'm like, what the hell? It sounds like my plant manager. So I'm scooting down the hallway
Yeah.
to come, see what's going on. And she's looking at me. She's shaking, like looking at me. Her eyes are big. She was like, she touched me. She just touched me. Dude, that's all she says. I can't believe she just touched me. She went behind Smokehouse, was putting the water hose up, and she grabbed the thing, like grabbed hold of her.
What
And
the
she
fuck?
completely freaked out, dude. And I've probably never seen her come down the hallway again to
Oh shit! She was like, I'm never done.
she would hit the button, the sliding door, and be like, Smokehouse, Marcus. She couldn't believe it actually touched her. And this is the same woman who's seen the forklift go off. This is the same woman who seen the dishes fly out. This is the exact
But
same
it
person,
finally,
but it finally touched her.
And it just made it all real, more real than
Made it
needed
all
to be.
real, man. Made
So
it all
You invaded my personal space.
real. There's footage in the plant that I tried to get a hold to a guy that works in the wastewater plant, that as he was walking in the hallway one night, you can see on footage like something grabs his shirt, and he turns around and looks, and he gets white as t-shirt.
Like
man.
he's like shit.
Like he's-
and then
yeah.
yeah.
and that was actually caught on camera.
Oh, is there any way you can get that?
I'm going to try my best to get it, man. I want to get it from him, and he literally, I've actually seen the video one time from my buddy Joe who works there, and yeah, dude, he was literally walking. Some grabs him and he turns around real quick and he just stops, and he just gets like pale white, just like oh shit, like something just grabbed me.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, dude, that's the kind of stuff, dude.
Like I want to go there, but at the same time, I'm like, dude.
Dude, we've made like little comments like, man, maybe we need to get like ghost hunters to come in here and stuff. You know, just hey,
Yeah.
let's see, you know, and it's like it's so like everybody's so used to shit happening now.
That's the scariest part.
That's
is
the
that
scary part.
Everyone's just like, oh,
Dude,
you know, it is what it is.
I got
Like,
suckered into that shit, man. I was one of them. Dude, once that shit happened, man, once that encounter happened in the Smokehouse 9, dude, I spent another probably 3 years there.
And you were still experiencing.
But I
some
was
stuff.
still like every time I did something at night or I would come in early and everybody would leave, dude, I was so like, I don't want to say I was scared, but
on edge.
I was on the edge doing everything.
Dude.
Like in the end, I got to the point to where I would put headphones in my ear. That way I wouldn't hear shit. Like I would look one way, like I wouldn't walk through like through 12 or anything and like look to the side. Like I would keep my head straight.
Because you're like, there's something standing
But
right
it's
there.
something looking. I know there's something looking at me, man.
Well, it's like scientifically proven that humans have the ability to sense when someone else is watching them. That's why if you ever are like at home alone or something and you feel like somebody's watching you,
They probably are. Huh?
there's something watching you. Yeah. It's like
why would you say that?
scientifically proven.
And I guess
You're thinking about every time you felt someone watching you.
Oh
so.
man.
On the tail end of all of that, Marcus called some of those coworkers
Yes.
while we were at work, and they didn't even have to say anything, and they were just like, "Oh yeah, like something else happened the other day." Like,
Yeah.
It's like they were like, oh,
Like
well,
this
now
is
that
live.
we got you on
This
the phone.
is live. Like I
Oh,
called.
shit.
I was like, hey, I'm gonna call somebody, and I'm not gonna say anything.
yeah,
I made one little reference. Wait, one little reference, and they were like, oh yeah, the little girl.
Dude, okay,
Yes,
so
other day this happened. Yeah, like it still happens, dude.
you know, like what we always say is like it only takes one incident
Exactly, yeah.
to be like real
True. Yeah.
for it to all be real, and it's like,
And this is coming from the source.
yeah,
Dude, I've seen it, man. Like I can physically do it. I can
Like it's one thing to read a story on the internet,
Yeah.
like
but to have the person
Like,
live through
dude,
it.
I can seriously tell you, dude. I've seen some freaky.
oh, why you
shit,
gotta take your
man.
sunglasses off? You're making it
Because
even
man,
more.
I cannot make this shit
he's
up,
gonna
man.
let you see the
Yeah,
honesty
yeah,
in his
yeah.
eyes.
I
Honesty.
cannot make this shit up, dude. Like man,
now we,
I tell you, man. Sometimes, man, some days, dude, I wanted to fucking cry, man.
oh,
Like I'm not making this up, man. Like some days I was just like, dude, this is not even right. What's going on right now? Yeah, man. That's how serious it is, man.
I don't want to look at you because you're already so honest.
Dude, it was pretty bad,
This
man.
is awesome. This
Yeah.
is so awesome. Well,
Yeah, like there's nothing more in the world that I want than to like go investigate that
I
place.
know, dude. If there's any way, like maybe if maybe tell your
Do you have that
manager-
picture in there? The
Yeah.
one I sent you
Yeah,
of
I do.
that? Like, man.
Oh yeah, which we can then turn around. We can put that on the Insta too. But like, oh man,
Josh, man, I wish man.
you wish
This
you
ain't-
could. You
no,
wish it wasn't
I'm saying, man,
true.
I wish I wouldn't, man. Like it wouldn't. I didn't see as much as I did, but man, I seen a lot,
Dude,
man.
it's awesome. at
Yeah,
the
no,
same time.
it's like thinking about it. It's like, man, I'm glad nothing happened to me physically,
Uh-huh.
to where it's like, hey, she followed me around, or
Yeah.
or
Like went home with you or something.
Exactly, but
Yeah.
dude, when I tell you, like those encounters were.
That looks like something out of a fucking like zombie apocalypse movie. Oh my god.
That's the
insane.
new renovation right there, dude. And look how freaky it still
Why
looks.
they gotta use that color fucking tarp?
Exactly. Why is it?
Kinda cool
my,
looking.
Yeah.
and my homie just went out there and just like, oh, I'm gonna show you what it looks like. Click, and I'm like, oh shit.
Dude, that's crazy. Well, man, like this is a whole episode
I
on
know,
its own.
right?
It's like, do you even want to tell your stories? Like,
Dude, it's,
I almost just want to like cut it off and be like,
I do think we should take a break.
okay, yeah, definitely.
recap, but
I need a cigarette after all of that.
for people that are
Don't
just
smoke,
tuning in
kids.
for the very first time, this is a different format.
Yeah.
Like by a lot. So hopefully we'll be doing it more because this is fun.
Yeah,
I
this
enjoy
is
this.
great.
yeah, man.
It makes it so much more real, and I
Yeah.
just love it. I love being scared. It's great.
Dude,
Thank you
it's-
so much
Yeah,
for
man.
Thanks,
Hey,
Marcus.
man, thank y'all for letting me come through, man. I've been telling them, hey, man, I gotta come. And then I had the opportunity to come, and I said, hey, I'll be there.
Hell yeah,
I
dude.
really want like people to know, man, like the shit is real.
Oh,
like man, it's so real, man.
And
My
we're-
fucking palms are sweating.
we're
Yeah,
real
dude.
like,
scared.
it's very, 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 very real, man.
Dude.
I wish I didn't know as much shit as I know, man, or seen as much shit as I've seen.
And that's such an interesting aspect. He's like, I wish that I didn't
no,
experience.
Yeah.
because I would never forget it.
Yeah, and
It's like, man, some stuff, man. If obviously I couldn't, some of this stuff has happened 7 years ago. Like I should
remember
not
like it was
remember it that's
yesterday.
this vivid. It's because, man, it was so fucking freaky, man. That's like a good movie you see, right? You see a
Yeah.
good scary movie, you're like, bro, you remember that part? Like
Yeah.
you remember every part of it, bro, because that shit sticks in your head.
oh yeah, it's implanted.
Like
it's burned
exactly,
into
bro.
your
That
brain.
shit is in my brain, man. Like I think what scares me the most about the whole situation is when you see, like, you've seen stuff yourself, and then you witness other people.
That's
like,
what I was
you
about
know
to say.
what I'm
Like
saying?
I've experienced things, and your stuff freaks me out more because it just makes my shit real.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
it wasn't a dream. It wasn't
Yeah.
my child imagination. It wasn't me just thinking I heard something. It was
it
real.
was real, like very, very, very real.
like-
And you see, like,
And if you're a avid listener of this podcast, you know I'm probably the biggest skeptic here, but
Y'all heard that, right?
yeah, a little bit.
I didn't hear that one.
But what I was saying is that
Tell me, brother.
I'm a big skeptic, but I trust Marcus a lot. He's one of my favorite people.
appreciate
and,
it, man.
And
Yeah,
what he tells me, I can take it as truth, and it's fucking that's scary to know that
it's scary,
true.
man. It's true, man. It's very true, guys, man. Dude, I say it over and over again, but I wish I didn't see the shit that I've seen. I will say that time and time and time again. And just to see the looks on people's faces who have seen it, like after me
Yeah.
and the people before me who have told me, and then I finally see it, that shit is like a whole nother level of like
Confirmation
freaky, man.
and
Yeah.
freakiness. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. It's like, damn, so that's it. Like that's really what happens. So after the glove incident,
Now we gotta find out why they're here.
why? Yeah.
Yeah.
So after the glove incident, that's when everything just started happening for me. Bam, bam, bam. Oh, I seen this. Here, this happened. This happens. This happens. This happens. Shit is still happening. right now.
Because so far, the only thing that you know of is that the only thing that it's done aggressive was
Ollie.
to a person who disrespected it.
Exactly.
So
I've never nothing else aggressive that I've heard of. Obviously, plates flying out of a
yeah,
fucking
Yeah.
cabinet could have been if there
Yeah.
was anybody in there,
Yeah.
but but I think that was just because of everything was changing for them, right?
Right,
You got,
They were
Yeah.
upset.
you know,
that
you're
it was
cleaning up
changing.
the filth, you're cleaning up the spider webs that have been
Disturbing its
there for
home, yeah.
disturbing the home.
I worked really hard decorating this place. And
Yeah.
now you're fucking it all.
Yeah, I mean, basically, yeah. It was definitely freaky.
I can
man.
tell you that's going to stick with us. We've heard parts and bits of that before. It's going to stick with me all over again, and it's going to haunt Josh forever.
Yeah. I can't
Yo, man,
wait to
I
go
don't
home
want to
and tell
hunt
my
you.
wife
I don't
about
want it.
this.
I don't want it to hunt you forever, man. But just know, man, like
Oh, I love being scared.
just
It's
know
okay,
that.
okay.
Just know that, man. It is very fucking real.
Is there like
man.
a storefront for that place?
I think so, right?
Can I walk
No.
in there and be like, "Can I have a tour?"
nah, it's like a straight up factory.
It's a straight up factory. So the product that's sold there is called like Full Moon Spot Farm. You can buy it in
What
Walmart.
full moon? Dude,
Yeah,
these people are possessed.
Right,
Like, what
right.
the
So
full
Full Moon
It's a
is
front. They
Full
know.
Moon
front? Yeah.
Say
Spot
no.
Farm Like, yeah, dude. Like,
Warehouse 12. That sounds like a
Yeah.
fucking scary podcast.
oh, dude. Yeah.
Oh.
Smokehouse 12, man.
Smokehouse 12. Yeah, Smokehouse. That
shit-
sounds even scarier.
Smokehouse-
They be making human meat over there.
Dude, Smokehouse 12 is
By the way-
if you could see Smokehouse 12, like the insides of it, like
you've shown us what the inside of the
what the
smokehouse
inside looks like. But and those were the new ones.
Oh,
So just imagine. So I'm gonna tell you a little insight about Smokehouse 12, right? Smokehouse 12, you could cook product in that motherfucker for 24 hours. It never gets dirty, bro. Like,
fuck?
dude, it like never gets dirty. Like, it's some weird shit that goes on in there. Like, most of these houses, you would have to like scrape up
Yeah.
purge because you got to think
'cause it
fat and
melts
stuff
out
from
and
yeah, it
it's-
melts out. Smokehouse 12 never gets dirty.
They be drinking that shit.
Something like don't mess this up for me, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, dude, this is where we're like this is where I am.
live,
Yeah, like
like-
don't fuck this up, dude.
Oh my.
Yeah.
God.
crazy. Well, thank you again, Marcus, for
Yeah.
That was amazing.
Dude, talk about giving me anxiety.
So, your story took place in a very relatively close location in Flatonia.
Schulenburg.
Schulenburg, that's right, my bad. What did you say something about Flatonia too?
Chili spill.
Chillisville, that's right, yeah. It's all the same location.
It's all yeah.
It's all
It's really in the
Fayette
same
County.
area. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, whereas my story takes place on the other side of the world, we're heading back to the UK for my story, but this time we're going to Scotland.
So you're not doing oh, that's right. You don't have any personal.
Yeah, no,
story.
I don't. I'm a big skeptic. I've had stories told to me a lot, but I don't have any personal. But so my story, I pulled from a podcast that I've been listening to pretty recently. This story is of a drunken lad's experience in a dark alleyway. This story is called Anglerfish. This all happened a couple years ago, so I apologize if some of the details are a bit off. I mean, I feel like I remember it clearly, but sometimes things are so weird that you start to doubt yourself. So, I'm studying at the University of Edinburgh, biochemistry specifically, and I was in my second year at the time that this happened. I wasn't in any sort of university accommodation at this point and was renting a student flat down in Southside with a few other second years. To be honest, I didn't hang out with them much. I took a gap year before enrolling, and my birthday's in the wrong part of September, so I was nearly 2 years older than most of my peers when I started my course. I got on with them fine, you understand, but I tended to end up hanging out with some of the older students. That's why when I was at the party in the first place, Michael, a good friend of mine, had just been accepted to do a master's degree in earth sciences, so we decided a celebration was in order. Well, maybe party isn't quite the right word, but we just kind of invaded the almanac down on the Royal Mile and drank long enough and loud enough that eventually we had the back area to ourselves. I don't know how well you know the drinking holes of Edinburgh, but the almanac had a wide selection of some of the excellent single malts, and I may have slightly overindulged. I have vague memories of Mike suggesting I slow down, to which I responded by roundly swearing at him for failing to properly celebrate his own good news, or words to that effect. Long story short, I was violently ill around midnight and made the decision to walk the route home. It wasn't too far from my flat, maybe half an hour, and if I'd been sober, the night was cool enough and that I remember having hope that the chill of the air would perk me up some. I headed for the Cowgate, and the quickest way to get there from the Royal Mile is down Old Fish Market Close. Now, if you're not familiar with the steep hills in Edinburgh, just know that the steepness of the pathways in Old Fish Market Close is exceptional. At times, it must reach a 30 or 40 degree angle, which is hard enough to navigate when you don't have that much scotch inside you. As I've mentioned, I had quite a lot, so it probably wasn't that surprising when I took a rather nasty tumble about halfway down the street. In retrospect, the fall wasn't that bad compared to what it could have been, but at the time, it really shook me up and left me with some nasty bruises. I picked myself up as best I could, checked that I hadn't seriously injured myself, no broken bones or anything, and decided to roll a cigarette to calm myself down. That was when I heard it.
Can I have a cigarette?
I was startled out of my thoughts by the words as I thought I'd been alone. Quickly trying to compose myself and looking around, I noticed a small alleyway on the opposite side of the street. It was a very narrow and completely unlit with a short staircase leading up. I could see a light fixture a little way up the wall as its entrance. But it either wasn't working or wasn't turned on, meaning that beyond a few steps, the alley was shrouded in total darkness. Standing there at the top of the stairs was a figure. It was hard to tell much about them as they were mostly in the shadows, though if I had to guess, I would have said the voice sounded male. They seemed to sway ever so slightly as I watched, and I assumed that they, like me, were probably a little bit drunk. I lit my own cigarette and held out my tobacco towards them, though I didn't approach, and asked if they were okay with the roll-up. The figure didn't move except to continue that gentle swaying. Writing it down now, it seemed so obvious that something was wrong. If I hadn't been so drunk, maybe I'd noticed quicker, but even when the stranger asked the question again in the same tone,
Can I have a cigarette?
utterly without hesitation. Still, I didn't understand why I was so uneasy. I stared at the stranger, and as my eyes began to adjust, I could make out more details. I could see that their face appeared blank, expressionless, and their skin seemed damp and slightly sunken, like they had a bad fever. The swaying was more pronounced now, seeming to move from the waist side to side, back and forth. By this point, I had finished rolling a second cigarette and gingerly held it out towards them, but I didn't get any closer. I had decided that if this weirdo wanted a cigarette, they were going to need to come out of the creepy alleyway. They didn't come closer. Didn't make any movement at all except for that damn swaying. For some reason, the thought of an anglerfish popped into my head. The single point of a little light dangled into the darkness, hiding the thing that lures you in.
Can I have a cigarette?
It spoke again in the same flat voice, and I realized exactly what was wrong. Its mouth was closed. It had been the whole time. Whatever was repeating that question, it wasn't the figure in the alleyway. I looked at their feet and saw that they weren't quite touching the ground. The stranger's form was being lifted ever so slightly, then moved gently from side to side. I dropped the cigarette and grabbed my phone, trying to turn on the light, but I don't know why I didn't run or what I hoped to see in the alley, but I wanted to get a better look. As soon as I took out my phone, the figure disappeared. It sort of folded at the waist and vanished back into the darkness, as if a string had gone taut and pulled it back. I turned on my phone light and stared into the alley, but I saw nothing. Just silence and darkness. Staggered back up to the Royal Mile, which still had lights and people, and found a taxi to take me home. I slept late the next day. I made sure I didn't have any lectures or classes, as I intended to be sleeping off a heavy night of drinking, which I guess I was, although it was that bizarre encounter that kept playing in my mind. And so after making my way through 2 liters of water, some painkillers, and a very greasy breakfast, I felt human enough to leave my flat and go investigate the place in the daylight.
I felt human enough.
The result was unenlightening. There were no marks, no bloodstains, nothing to indicate that the swaying figure had ever been there at all. The only thing I did find was an unsmoked Marlboro red cigarette lying just below the burned out light fixture. Now keep in mind, I smoked rolled hand rolled cigarettes. Beyond that, I didn't really know what to do. I did as much research as I could on the place, but couldn't find anyone who had any experience similar to mine, and there didn't seem to be any folklore or urban legends I could find about Old Fish Market Close. The few friends I told about what happened just assumed I'd been accosted by some stranger, and the alcohol that made it seem much weirder than it was. I tried to explain that I've never had hallucinations while drunk, and that there was no way that this guy had just been some normal person. But they always gave me one of those looks, halfway between pity and concern, and I'd shut up. I never did find out anything else about it, but a few days later, I saw some missing person appeals go up around campus. Another student had disappeared. John Fellows, his name was. Though I didn't really know the guy, and I couldn't tell you much about him, except for two things that struck me as very important. He'd been at the exact same party, and as far as I remembered, had still been there when I left. The other was just that, well, in the photo they used for his missing persons appeal, I couldn't help but notice that there was a pack of Marlboro red cigarettes poking out of his pocket. I haven't quit smoking, but I do find that I take a lot more taxis now if I find myself out too late. Some digging into the police reports of the time reveals that between 2005 and 2010, when this encounter supposedly took place, there were 6 disappearances in and around Old Fish Market Close. Jessica McEwen in November 2005, Sarah Baldwin in August 2006, Daniel Rawlings in December the same year, and Ashley Dobson and Megan Shaw in May and June of 2008. Then finally, as mentioned, John Fellows in March 2010. All 6 disappearances remained unsolved. Baldwin and Shaw were definitely smokers, but there's no evidence either way about the others, even if they're connected. One other thing, specifically in the case of Ashley Dobson, it was a copy of the last photograph taken by her phone and sent to her sister. The caption was, "Check out this drunk creeper, LOL." But the picture is of a darkened, apparently empty alleyway, with stairs leading up to it. It appears to be the same alleyway which was described in the statement, but there doesn't seem to be anyone in the photograph at all. Running it through some editing programs and increasing the contrast appears to reveal the outline of a long, thin hand, roughly at what would be the waist level on a male of average height.
Dude, that was fuck that.
Yeah. Dude, I'm over here like, wait, what?
The one that
now
got
I know-
away.
The one that got away.
So now I know why you wanted me to record Can I Have a Cigarette?
Yeah,
That was you?
yeah, that was Josh.
Oh, okay. I didn't hear that.
Can I have a cigarette?
I still can't hear it.
Can I have a cigarette?
Okay,
I
gotcha.
did a little accent there.
Wow.
Yeah,
job.
that was episode 1 of the Magnus Archives.
Oh,
If you,
okay.
should check out that podcast.
Yeah.
Go back, listen to that one, and that one's like fleshed out with audio and everything, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's creepy. That
was a
reminds
good
me of
one.
my my story about the Salem witch alleyway.
Yeah,
Dude,
that's what I was
alleyways
thinking.
creep me out. Like they've always creeped me out. Fuck that.
Something very weird about it just
Marcus, what do you
dating
think
too.
of that?
That shit was scary, bro. Man, I'm sitting here just toned in, dude. My fucking head started going to the side. And
Dude, that music will do that to you.
oh,
It'll make
man,
you, like,
dude, I was
kinda
just like, I was like stuck in that shit, man.
Yeah, Kolby's really good at making stuff that.
Yeah, his fucking nerd, like the way you talk, bro, you like trip me out.
Thank you. It's the whole point of the podcast, trying to give someone.
He always does good stories. Me
someone
and
the
Caleb,
goosebumps.
especially me, like sometimes I'll like rush it. Like I notice that I do that sometimes. Like,
Yeah, it depends on how you feel the flow is going. Like the
Yeah.
episode where I was developing COVID, I was just trying to get out of it.
yeah, you're like I'm done. I
Yeah.
just want to get done.
Are we ready to hop into the next one?
Do you want to give a little synopsis of?
I don't know.
Yours is.
This is a
Or you just
personal
want to go
tale,
into
right?
it?
So we're back to personal
This is
tales?
going to be a personal tale. You good?
Oh, this real deal?
Yes. Okay.
He's
So
like, "Oh,
here's
shit."
here's the thing. The thing is I'm gonna say based on a real story.
Okay.
So if I'll explain after.
Okay.
The difference between reality and my creative mind.
How
Oh,
real
God.
of a story?
Caleb has a very creative mind. He has a big mind. You know what I mean?
The story is called Caden's Call. Life has been stressful lately. I work a few different jobs. Days are long. Family issues, money, depressive episodes make all those days heavier than they need to be. One of the biggest stressors in my life lately is the well-being of my brother. 16 years old, kid in high school, doing his best to make it through. Of course, he, like everyone else, has issues, but staying out of trouble at school, grades, has always been his ongoing effort to maintain. And he's had some slip-ups, but we can only do what we can do. Get him ready for real life. The reason I'm telling you this is maybe to justify what happened, or at least justify why I was maybe blinded at whatever it was that was happening or dealing with. I'm not exactly sure, but regardless, that was my headspace at the time. This particular day, one of the worst. A long, slow day of work, in and out of the heat, getting off at 5 only to go work another job that was less physical but more mentally taxing. Getting home near 11:30, 12 had put me in a state of tiredness, to say the least. I remember pulling in the driveway, seeing my brother work on his car, a car we had got a few months back. Somebody in North Austin, about an hour and a half away, found it on Facebook. Eventually, we talked the guy down to $800, hooked it to a trailer, brought it back home, my brother's first car. He spent most every day tinkering with something on that car, so seeing him late night with the hood popped and tools smeared with grease and dirt wasn't that unusual. I stepped out of my car and checked on him, and he said something like, "I think I know why it keeps dying after startup. The cable was loose on the alternator and the starter cap was..." He kept talking, but I was just so tired, and I kind of agreed and said some things like, "Oh yeah, well, maybe so. I couldn't tell you." And then slowly made my way over to the house door, where I was greeted by the cold AC air and the smell of dinner that I had missed from working so late. By this point, I was tired enough that I plopped down on the couch of the living room to catch a breather, instead of heading straight to my room, which was odd for me. Didn't even change clothes or take my wallet and keys out of my pocket. Usually, I would be awake for a while longer, maybe eat something or take a shower before bed, stay up on my phone before turning in, but almost as soon as I sat on that couch, I passed out. Like usual, for me, no dreams that I can recall of, but much worse for me, I was woken up abruptly by a phone call. Usually the immediate thought is that I overslept and work was trying to get a hold of me, or something terrible had happened and I was needing to be informed, but no. I'd only been asleep for maybe an hour, still in complete work clothes and sweating a little bit on the living room couch. Phone still buzzing as I tried to search for it in my groggy state. I was finally able to fish it out of the cushion and make a blurry name in the bright screen. Caden, my brother. But because I was asleep for only a short time and he had been working outside on a car, I assumed maybe he got locked out and needed me to open up the door so he could come in. But instead, before I was able to say anything, "Caleb, I'm sorry. I'm so stupid. I'm sorry. I didn't think that this was happening. I'm sorry." Semi-jolted awake by this, but also still battling the tiredness, I was able to make out, "What's going on? Where are you?" "Please don't be mad. I took the car out and now it won't start. I'm stuck. I'm so sorry." A little sigh of relief. Nothing is really wrong. "Where are you? Are you in town?" "No, just down the road, like 2 minutes if you were leaving the driveway and turning right. I'm pulled over, but it just won't start." "Just stay in the car. I'm on my way." I was able to finally get up, accompanied by some stumbling from the couch over to the key rack, down and out the front door steps, and finally to my car. But before that, I had stepped into the garage, grabbed 2 portable jumpers in case the battery was at fault. And after being unable to find any rope to pull the car, it had to be the battery, because what else could I do? Throwing all that stuff into the car, in my back seat, I was already filled with radio station equipment, one of the many jobs. I got into the driver's seat. A few cranks later, my car started up, and eventually I was moving. Windows rolled down where I could feel the thick hot air rushing through my vehicle, and anger coursing through me. As earlier stated, my brother has been in a little bit of a rough patch and needed to do his best to be on his best behavior, and this was not the way it should be going. Almost exactly 2 minutes down the road, pulled over onto the oncoming side of the road. Halfway in the ditch was my brother's old Honda, hazards on, and Caden in the driver's seat sitting very, very still. In my head, hazards on, battery might not be completely dead. I passed him up, pulling a U-turn, then parked behind his car with the high beams on, so he had a little bit of light to work with. He would get out of his car about the same time that I did, and then I went to get the jumpers, and almost no words exchanged between us because, again, I was mad, and he knew it. All I said was, pop the hood, sit in the car, and wait. He did as I said, and I connected the jumper, waited a few seconds, and told him to fire it up. But nothing would come of it, only a click. And I don't know too much about cars, but I know that the click almost always means that that battery is flat, completely dead, no jump would get it started. Well, what else can we do? Caden asked. And again, being startled awake and now here trying to get him out of a ditch with a car he shouldn't have been driving in the first place, I was pretty mad, didn't respond. After a few minutes of trying to figure out what to do, I finally thought of the radio station gear in my car. Now, I didn't have rope, but I did have a decent amount of extension cables. I looked at my brother down in his seat of his car, almost pitch black, and I said, I have an idea, but if this doesn't work, we'll have to come back tomorrow. I opened the trunk of my car to get the longest extension cable I could. Because I have no hitch, we had to run it through the 2 back doors of my car and tie the loose ends under his car to the tow hook area. I told him, okay, put it in neutral, make sure that the parking brake is down. From there, we very slowly inched forward until there was tension in the cable. I was able to look at him through the side mirror and try to give him a thumbs up. His head faces straight ahead and dimly lit by the red taillight, and I could barely tell if he was able to see me, but he did give me a thumbs up, and we started moving, very, very, very slowly, but moving. Eventually, I could hear the taut in the cable, making a little noise, almost like a string being played. I glanced back in the mirror to see my brother, out of nowhere, jolt at me, head directly back at me through the mirror, and quickly followed by pop! The cable had snapped. And we had made it about halfway home at this point.
Damn it.
And it's okay, though, because I had plenty more cables to use. We rehooked everything, and still very little words were shared between us. Almost everything, that is, until he said, almost that is, just after I was done tying a knot in the extension under his car, he looked at me, almost robotic, and said, I can't wait to be home. We're almost there. Let's just do the same thing. We'll get there. Once again, inching forward, getting the cable tight, and giving him the thumbs up, which was reciprocated by him. We were moving again. Almost down the long stretch of road when I started to get a call from Caden. I looked at him in the rear view and he looked kind of zoned out, literally along for the ride. I assumed he put it on speaker and continued to steer. The very tired and slightly panicked voice of my brother on the line. Hey, what are you doing? Why are you in the driveway just standing? Are you okay? I couldn't even utter any words as the sound of the tension cable filled the air once again. And just before the sharp pop of the cable, the car that I had been pulling with my brother in it, colored red with the dim taillights, held no one in the driver's seat.
Bro, no.
Holy shit!
No, man.
Dude, that was good.
Okay.
You fleshed that out pretty well.
Good.
Whoa. Wait, so this
Like,
happened.
Again, based on true events. A lot of that was me just
Fuck.
getting a spook out of you.
Yeah.
Oh, bro.
I'm gonna let it simmer though for a while.
So I knew the ending because you told me,
Yeah.
like, oh, what if I do this story?
Yeah.
And the
Holy shit.
the
that was-
detail you put into that was
Bro,
Very
that
cool.
shit was scary as fuck, bro. Like, I'm kind of fucked up by that.
and
Like,
you know,
man,
you know
like,
what's funny?
wait, I'm like, what the fuck just happened?
What's funny is that's Caleb's worst fear. too.
Yeah, the
It's like
doppelganger.
doppelgangers.
Doppelgangers. Yeah, I
Bro,
don't
that
like them.
shit just
And then
seemed
also
like-
with my brother, okay, like I scared myself writing it because like that's my biggest thing is to protect family.
Yeah.
And then I also included mirrors in there.
Yeah,
I did this
Yeah.
to myself.
I did
did
this
this
to
to
myself.
That was pretty.
Well-
That was pretty.
Dude, he could write a book if he wanted to.
No, I swear to
Seriously.
dude. I thought, dude. At first, I was just listening, and then he said his name and shit. I was like, wait, hold up, bro. And then
I was debating on if I was gonna keep this a personal tale or if I was gonna make it sound like it was someone else's encounter.
Right,
But I feel like
yeah.
it would hit harder.
dude, that was.
You
I
can-
can picture the
so,
whole thing.
Yes, that's what I think. That's
So,
what freaked me out.
As we
bro.
learned with like Marcus telling his story, personal.
Yeah.
When it's personal, it gets delivered a lot
Yeah.
better.
yeah.
It's,
Dude, that shit got my fucking heart just. I didn't think that was gonna happen, man.
Would you-
I didn't know where it was gonna go.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was just listening.
I was just smiling at Marcus the whole time because
Yeah.
I knew the ending.
Okay, so do you want to hear the actual thing? Maybe it'll ease
Yeah.
your mind a little
Yeah.
bit.
yeah, let me hear
Okay,
it. Man.
it's much nicer. there's not even a single doppelganger.
Oh, really?
Not that I know of. So I get home again.
But the majority of this did happen.
The front half of it was almost completely true, all the way up until when I fell asleep and I woke up from a call.
Okay.
Like I fell asleep on the couch. I was in Cavender work clothes.
really?
Had my shoes on and everything, and I like got the buzz, and I was like, what is going on? And he called me, and he same thing. He's like apologizing and all this stuff, and I answered it, and I was just like, where are you at? And he said, just down the road a little bit. So again, I was fuming. Like I was so
Yeah,
mad about it.
yeah.
Because like again, he needs to get back on track with everything.
Yeah.
So I was very, very mad. I was like, this like out of all the times to go out for a little joyride in a car that you don't know completely works.
Yeah.
Like why now?
Now,
So
yeah.
regardless, he's out there, and so I did grab the jumper cable or jumper boxes. And then I also looked for rope, didn't have any, and I knew the cables were in there. I was like, if I have to, I could. So I get all the way out there,
That's
and we
smart thinking too, by the
Yeah.
way. I would have known.
yeah, and we get all the way out there, and I was like, okay, jumper didn't work. We tried both of them. We had two. They both clicked, and I was like, hey, your battery's not gonna work. That's for sure. Like, there's nothing we can do here. We just need a wheel at home. He drives his stick, so we just threw it in manual, put the parking brake down, and
He's like, "Where's the lie?"
I was
It's
gonna
all-
stick with Marcus.
Yeah. I'm like, wait, dude, that was fun. No, that really messed me up pretty good, bro.
so the actual ending is that we got home. Like two popped, two did pop.
Was
and it
there
was,
any incident where you looked back and he like wasn't there?
No.
Like he like bent down or something?
No.
Okay.
No, that was just my mind. I was like, if that were to happen to me again, what would ruin me? That would be it. Yeah.
I feel like Caleb would have quit the podcast.
That was-
He'd be like,
dude.
"I can't do this shit anymore."
Hopefully that eases your
Dog,
mind.
ain't gonna lie, bro. When you finished, I'm damn near dropped my shit, bro. I put my hand up here. I was like, bro, hold up, bro. That was just fucking too much.
Okay, good. I'm glad.
No, that was
enjoyable.
fucking tough, man.
Such great stories.
That was
and I'm
good,
last,
man.
and mine.
I know,
was
that's
like,
how I felt after his though.
That was that shit's good, man.
That's a good Marcus clip there.
That
Yeah.
was fucking good, man. I enjoyed that.
Oh fuck that!
Dude, I'm telling you, bro. I almost, dude. I don't know if y'all see me, dude. When I took my glasses off, I said no, bro. I almost put this shit down, man. It
Maybe
really,
I'll revise that one a little bit more and post it to Reddit or something.
Hell yeah,
So
dude.
you got a good
really-
reaction.
You should. No,
dude, that
was
really,
good.
man, that
Yeah,
really
cool.
screwed me, man.
We need to like write. We need to just put. a
Yeah,
whole
just a
book.
little anthology.
Dude,
of
We're
all
going
of
to pass the
What
boner
are you
to
gonna call it?
Dog,
though?
you just fucking just
Kate,
weed
I
that?
don't know.
Yeah, he finished
well,
it before you got here.
Yeah. Well, the moment that you got, I finished. I put the last period on my sentence, and I walked out the door, and I saw your car almost past the driveway.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, okay, he's here.
You could say you could call it two broken extension cords
Yeah.
or something like that.
I don't know. There's a lot of ways you could go with it.
Yeah, fucking freaky. You talk about some, dude.
Okay,
Or
so
gotta
just
be
call it
kidding me.
Honda Prelude.
Preludes are dope.
Yeah.
Okay, so we talked about when you told your story, Marcus, about how it only takes one account of something being true for it to all have the possibility of being true. We read a lot of stories on here. This is episode 27.
Yeah.
Yeah, y'all got a lot
That's
of
that's 3 episodes.
A
of
minimum
show.
of 3. Yeah,
And
3.
you never
stories
know,
a show.
like they could be real, and there have been like stories that we've written ourselves. It's and we've talked about experiences that we have experienced ourselves, and we've experienced stuff here too. I don't know if they told you about
Yeah.
that.
I mean, we have
Kolby
today a
being
little bit.
touched,
Yeah.
and one what was that episode 2 where I got the wave of emotion? I literally just started crying for no reason.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
it was weird, and then this
Multiple
poor
times
man.
a door lock.
Caleb dealing with all that. But So where I work, I've experienced a couple of things. I work at a rehab facility in Round Top, Texas, called the Prairie Recovery Center, and this before it was the Prairie, it was a bed and breakfast, and like the original house that was bought in like the 1800s, built I say bought, built in the 1800s, still is there. We use it, call it the farmhouse. That's where all of the like kind of higher ups work, like the bosses work and stuff. So we have, and then another thing that we do is all the buildings are all like refurbished. Like we bought them from other places and then reuse them. So they're all old buildings. They all have history wherever they were before and everything else. Well, I used to be a chef there, and now I'm the nighttime RA. RA stands for Recovery Assistant.
Okay.
Essentially, I help the clients. Like, you know, I'm a listening ear if they need it. I help them if they need anything. And then after they go to bed, I clean the dining hall, which was a barn that got turned into a dining hall slash like kind of rec area where they can watch TV and hang out. And then I clean the Pearl barn, which is like where they've got separate rooms for meetings, like therapy sessions and stuff. And then there's also a big gym in there. And then the clinical building, which is basically where all the therapists have their offices, and it has 2 bathrooms that lead from the outside wraparound porch into the bathroom or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I've worked there for over 2 years now, and I was a chef for most of the time. I just started doing the RA stuff, like the overnight RA stuff. Whenever I was a chef, I had a couple of things happen to me, especially with like pots and pans. They would like fall off, like they would be pushed. You know, it's like a shelf like this. They're pushed all the way up against the wall, flush, and then I'm over there doing something, and then all of a sudden this pot just falls and like knocks me in the head. And that or like the tops of them would fall and knock me in the head, and that's happened multiple times. And I would always just be like, "Oh, like what the fuck, stupid ghost."
Yeah.
No, I would never talk shit, but
You just
yeah,
did.
and
You just did.
no, I'm just JK. And yeah, just weird stuff like that. I had done some night RA stuff where I covered before, like whenever I was a chef, and they were like, "We need someone to do an overnight RA shift," and I'd be like, "Yeah, I'll do it. You know, whatever. I love money." And one of the times that I was doing that, I was sitting there talking with the night nurse. Usually, overnight, there's only 2 staff. So it was me and the nurse. That's it. And that's how it is now with me being the night RA full-time. We were sitting there chit-chatting, sitting at the kind of like the bar area where basically they serve food. And I was standing in the kitchen. He had his back turned to the rec area and was looking at me. And we were just talking, and we had a set of keys sitting on like a circle table that was, you know, no wider than this. And the keys are sitting in the center of the table. I was the one that put them there, and there was nothing else on the table. And we're just sitting there talking, and then we hear the keys like drop onto the ground. And he just turns and he looks at it, and he was like, "Did that really just happen?" And I was like, "Yeah, that really just happened." And then he was like, "I'm just going to ignore like that whole situation," you know? Yeah. And so that was like probably one of the first times I experienced something with another person there, and they were able to confirm it. But
Sure.
so basically, that's all leading up to what happened to me a couple of weeks ago. It was my first weekend working by myself as a new night RA, actually doing the RA duties of like cleaning and stuff. So yeah, this is my story about what happened to me a couple of weeks ago at work.
Here we go.
So it was a clear night. The moon was almost full, if not full, if I remember correctly. It was, like I said, my first weekend working. I wanted to prove myself, show them that them giving me this position, you know, was a good idea.
Sure.
And yeah, I was busted my ass. The clients, you know, it was an easy night. They just watched a movie, went to bed. They all go to bed super early, around like 10 or so. And I usually wait till about midnight to start cleaning. And the way that it's set up is there's the dining hall, and then Pearl Barn is in the middle, and then clinical is on the other side. So I decided, okay, I'm gonna clean dining hall first. I'll do Pearl Barn and then clinical. So I cleaned dining hall, and I got done with Pearl Barn. And whenever I was in Pearl Barn, I kept feeling like I was being watched, which was kind of weird. Wasn't the first time that I felt that way. Whenever I was doing my training, I had that same feeling too. And then, so I got done with Pearl Barn, And there's like basically like a little cabinet that has all of our cleaning stuff in the dining hall. So I went and I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to clean the 2 bathrooms in clinical, and then I'll bring all of that stuff back because it's a lot to carry. And then I'll bring all that stuff back, grab the vacuum that's in there, and then go do the offices, the 3 offices that are on the clinical building. So I go into the DH, I grab all my stuff, and like I was already feeling weird with the whole like feeling like I was being watched in the Pearl Barn while I was cleaning it. And so I get all the stuff, and it's about a 50-yard walk from the dining hall back door to clinical, where the restrooms are. The whole time I'm walking, I'm like, man, like, I don't know, it was just weird. So I get to the bathrooms. So it's like an office, the 2 bathroom doors, office, and then an office. And I walk up and I like go, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to go and clean the first bathroom. So I go and I reach for the door handle. And as soon as I touch the door handle, I hear a voice, a female voice, say, what did it say? It was like, come over here. That's what it said. It was like, come over here, in a very like assertive thing. And it was clear as day. Like I literally was like I knew that it wasn't me hearing anything. My phone, I didn't have music on, nothing like that. And I just stopped. And I was like, and as soon as like I realized what was going on, my hair stood in the back of my neck and everything else. And so I put everything down and I turned to the direction, not thinking about like what was over there, but I turned to the direction of where I heard the voice coming from. Now I'm partially deaf, but I could still tell the direction of where the voice was coming from. I turned and it was literally in between, like where I was looking, where I know the voice was coming from was in between the Pearl Barn and clinical, which is a straight shot from into a field and then into a forest. It was literally just pitch black. And I just stood there and I stared at it. I was like, okay, that can't be what happened. Well, there's a cottage on the other side of clinical that has female occupants. So I was like, okay, maybe like one of them was trying to get my attention. So I like kind of look over there and I'm looking around and I'm like, okay, like I'm looking for an open window or if the door was cracked. I was waiting for the alarm because it was about 3:00 in the morning at this point. And like basically after midnight, if they open the door, then the alarm goes off. So like no alarm, no cracked window, no nothing. I turned back around and I looked over there and I got that overwhelming sense of being watched again. And it shook me so bad because I've never necessarily had a situation where there's a voice that's talking. I've had things happen to me where like even when I was a kid, like seeing race cars spin in circles and stuff, and my mom being like, "Oh, that's probably a kid ghost playing with your stuff. Just let him play with it," you know. And like I'm literally sitting there. I have the remotes to my remote control cars sitting on the bed in like a straight line. They're all turned off, and I'm watching the cars go in circles like this. And like I call my mom in there, and she's like, "Oh shit! Like it's actually happening." Like, you know, like what the fuck?
You had a fuck childhood.
Yeah. But so I go and I'm like this is the first time in a long while where I was shooken to the core and like I was like fuck, like I just like left the shit sitting outside and I just walked to the nurse's station and I told her, the night nurse at the time, I told her what happened and she like essentially just looked at me dead and I was like, "Welcome to the night shift. Like this happens all the time, like weird shit like that." And then she proceeded to tell me stories about them hearing, you know, the voices and turning the flashlight and nothing's there. Or apparently another one of the night RAs a while back, he heard rustling. Like basically we have like a field and people use it for hay. Like we have people that come out for like ag exemption, you know, using it for hay or whatever. And it was pretty growed up at the time and he literally like shined his flashlight and that grass was just moving like something was there. But the like size of the movement of the grass, essentially, no, like a bobcat or something wouldn't make it do that. Like it had to be a bigger animal, and he didn't. Like he was like sitting there just waiting for somebody to just pop up, yeah, shit like that. The owner of the farmhouse apparently passed away on the property, and they had other people pass away on the property. Coworkers of mine who worked there whenever it was a bed and breakfast essentially said like, no, she's like a nice person. It wouldn't be her. But it's just like,
What does that have to do with?
yeah, like what does that have to do? It doesn't
You
matter.
have nice
Yeah, it
ghosts.
don't matter. Yeah.
But yeah, so that was like my most recent situation that happened. And then like hearing your story just makes it like that much more of a confirmation. Like, it sucks because there was a camera pointed right at me when it happened. And you can see me in the camera. You can kind of see me like moving and like looking around and stuff, but you can't really see because there's like a tree branch like right where I'm at. So you just kind of see me like kind of semi-reacting to it. But yeah, that was that's my story of where I work now. And then I guess a little bit of personal stuff too. But,
Kind of like where I was at.
like whenever I was a kid. But
Everybody
yeah.
knows already.
I know, right? Like, I didn't know. I wish someone would have warned me going into the shift. Like, hey, you know, you've talked, like, because I've told people, like, oh, yeah, you know, I've had pots, like, hit me in the head and
So
shit.
it seems like you're already on the track like Marcus was
Yeah.
whenever he started to just kind of let it, you know, it's like
Right.
whatever now.
Is,
Yeah.
is that kind of like is that something? I don't know. I feel like everybody who has actually had personal encounters, you just kind of fall into it.
Yeah, it's just
Is
like,
that
it just,
something like in the mind telling you, like, okay, it's okay? Or is it like,
well, a lot of,
know?
I've heard, like, apparently, like, we're born with the ability to experience this stuff and welcome it in. And it's like society is what causes you to, like, kind of lose the ability. Like, your brain just blocks out that part of you.
yeah.
Like, because, you know, you see kids all the time reacting to stuff like, oh, the guy and the, you know, and for us, we could have had that situation happen, and then our memory just gets blocked out as we
Exactly.
get older. And yeah, we just lose the ability to sense all those things.
I have a theory that it's consciousness, to where, because when a child is like at that adolescent age, are they fully conscious? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Aware of their surroundings?
well, just aware of how their mind works, and like,
Autonomy. Just like
Yeah.
knowing
Oh,
that you're
okay.
Yeah.
fully in control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then another part where you're fully not fully conscious is like when you're on drugs.
Oh, yeah.
And so we've had plenty of stories of people like being on,
Yeah. Witnessing or just experiencing.
Yeah,
because
under
they're
the
more
influence,
open.
Mm-hmm. It opens up the mind.
I've had
And so-
some crazy experiences with some people that have been on drugs. And,
right,
you
yeah.
know,
I don't know, but like to be like completely like stone cold sober and like
Yeah.
at your
Yeah,
like
no, that's-
you know that your wit is up to par
Yeah.
to like you know what the fuck is going on, and then like shit like that happens. That's when it's like
That's
truly,
scary.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's. I mean, Kolby, Marcus, and I, we work at a dealership. If something were to happen there, I don't even know if we could like explain it or talk about it because it's such a fast-paced environment.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Like it would be so hard to try to, I don't know, even explain or even. I wouldn't be surprised if things happen and we just don't catch it.
Right.
Yeah.
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 You don't notice. Yeah, like you said, it's so much.
Yeah.
so
And that,
much
and like
it's
that's
nonstop, yeah.
like that,
Yeah.
like with my story, it was the dead of night.
Yeah.
Literally, like nobody. There's two people
Exactly.
working and everybody else is sleeping. So it allowed that like vocalization to really like. It sounded like it was like right next to me,
Yeah.
and then it was just nothing but.
You know, like you said with your situation, man. I feel like when when I had encounters with things, I feel like time slows down, man.
Mm-hmm. Like it
You
felt like I
know?
was standing there for forever. Whenever I was like, "Fuck."
Yeah, man, it's crazy.
That's how it is when like adrenaline kicks in, like
Yes.
in like a scary situation.
Yes.
Like paranormal or not, like if it's like a disaster happening
Yeah.
or something, everything just seems to slow down. Yeah.
Man. It's like you catch every single bit and piece. It's like something allows you to at the moment.
Yeah.
It's like
Maybe it
damn,
is
man.
adrenaline because adrenaline
could
does
be.
heighten your awareness.
Exactly.
So it's like your brain is like gathering all that
Yeah.
information constantly trying to.
Exactly.
That's something that we all four can relate to because we all have had experiences on stage, as in like
Oh, yeah.
performing.
Oh, yeah.
He's performed music
Yeah.
and stuff like
Oh,
that.
Yeah.
really? That's
And
awesome.
what's crazy is that in the moment you're fully aware of what's going
Yeah.
on, and then you get off stage and it's like that shit
Yes.
happens that quick.
That
Yeah.
quick. Yeah, that's very true, man.
Like it feels like an eternity while you're up there, but then you realize
Right,
it was
yeah.
30 minutes.
Yeah, that's
You're the only one
exactly.
talking. I'm just hitting stuff. So
Dude, I hate it.
That's exactly how it is, though, man.
Oh
I
man.
think that might be the end of it.
Yeah, dude, this
been
was
a-
a
this has been-
crazy
that was freaking
episode.
sick.
We've reached a higher level.
Yeah.
Dude.
So usually at this point we would draw from our jar. This time, since it was a guest episode, we'll save it for later. I think with
Yeah.
the jar, if it gets drawn, it'll happen soon.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
the next episode.
Well,
you know?
well, I know that the next one is stairs, right?
Yeah, forest stairs.
Which I've dove into that, and it's just fucking insane.
Yeah. So usually whenever somebody's drawing, and we're kind of just piggybacking on like the other stories, has anything now since the last episode, not for you, anything at
Yeah.
all recently, happened that has spooked you, that has given you any kind of scare? Josh, anything for you? Nothing recently?
Nothing recently. That was my most
I
recent thing.
had a weird.
We had a thing
Oh,
that you didn't know about until this morning.
wait, I've already
Yeah.
forgotten.
Maybe it could have been played off. So you told you
Oh yeah, that's
came
right.
into
Yeah,
work
yeah.
and you were talking about your
Yeah,
breath.
so I come to work and 2 weeks ago, or backtrack, 2 weeks ago, I tested positive for COVID, and the day that I started getting the symptoms, in the morning I had like very sinusy, like just bad throat, and then stopped up sinuses and all that, and I come to work, everything's fine until like 3 o'clock, and all this shit, like fever, body aches, all this shit hits me, and it's kind of how I felt this morning. I woke up at like 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock.
You told me six.
I came to work and I told Caleb like 6 o'clock. I woke up and I felt like someone was choking me. Like my throat was so like closed up, and like it had. I played it off to allergies, just lack of sleep, like all that.
Snoring like a
Yeah,
maniac.
snoring like bear, juggling chainsaws. But yeah, and I took some Advil and I felt fine. I'm still like when I deeply inhale, there's like a little like soreness there, but it's not as bad as this morning. And I told Caleb that, and he's like,
Yeah.
and he
You were
tells
telling me
me
like
this.
yeah, you were telling me at like 6 a.m. this happened, and I was like, oh, that's weird.
And I woke up
what
in a
happened
panic
to you?
too.
What?
Like
Yeah.
I woke up sweaty, just like
Yeah. So
Yeah.
same thing. Or I think mine. I remember looking at the clock. It was like 5:40ish,
Yeah.
somewhere around there. And I had woken up again, kind of like panicky, sweating, because I was having an asthma attack. So I was looking around for my inhaler.
Oh,
the
wow.
same exact time.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Maybe that's. Whoa.
So I reached around because I always keep my inhaler like on the bed or like
Yeah.
right off the bed just in case
God,
I
I
need to
got
grab
chills
it.
right
Dude,
now.
Yeah, so I was
Fuck.
reached like it wasn't. I'm not as bad as like where I'm like can't breathe. It's just like I know what's happening. I
So
need to
what do
get
y'all
like,
Yeah.
think it is? I mean, y'all
Maybe
both
they
had it at
just
the same
linked
time.
somehow
What is
in
There's no
some
way.
way. Jesus, dude.
it? Think it's
This
some paranormal
episode.
activity shit, or you think it's just kind of?
I mean, we've obviously had something like in this area.
Oh, it's
like,
something in here, man.
attached to me, Josh, and Caleb.
There's.
I do want to ask you that. So I mean, you've been in the place that has probably had the most
Yeah.
paranormal activity. And
Yeah,
is there an inclination here?
there is. I don't want to
Energy
say that
shift.
there's something in this building, but there's definitely something around this place because when I was telling my story, man, my hairs were standing on my arms. I'm not gonna, I'm not trying to freak y'all the
Yeah.
fuck out.
Oh no.
But my,
I think,
my arms
I
were,
think we're well aware.
my arms were standing. My hairs were standing up on my arms, man. And the only other time I've had something like that happen is obviously when I was in a situation to where it was actually happening.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that it's 100% like in here, but y'all are definitely welcome
So-
in the fuck over
Yeah.
here.
So Marcus, I didn't want to tell you this at the beginning of the podcast
Yeah.
because I was afraid you might get like a little like uneasy. But since and I know you don't watch every episode that we've put out.
Yeah.
But over the course of this podcast, I have been openly welcoming anything.
So you're the reason.
Oh yeah, he straight up.
He's not
So-
even giving it justice. Like Ouija
Yeah.
board inviting demons, like
Oh,
all kinds of stuff.
shit.
Like,
So man, So man, demons, and demons are very fucking
See,
real, man.
Like
Yeah.
unlike the other three people at this table, I don't have any concrete like experiences.
Dude, demons
And
are
so-
real. So my dad's a pastor, man.
Yeah.
Like, and I can tell y'all some stories right now that'll fucking like blow you away.
Yeah.
Like, so he'll do these Bible study sessions, right? And he'll go to people's house and he prays for them, gets the demons out of them.
Uh-huh.
He told me the story. I didn't say anything. He was like, Matilda's his wife, she'll be home in probably the next 30 minutes. Ask her what happened when we went to so-and-so's house.
Oh shit.
She came in. I just got to ask you, what happened in so-and-so's house? Oh, you got to understand, we prayed for these people, and they threw up so much foam that they filled up plastic bags with foam.
Damn.
And then they start slithering like snakes on the ground. Like, this really happens.
What?
Like, this really happens. Like,
Wait. What started
Dude,
slithering? Like,
people.
What?
The husband and wife were slithering like snakes on the ground. Like
The human
their body
body?
was moving like snakes.
Brother.
I'm not making this up, dude. I'm not making this up. My dad wouldn't want to get
So he
involved, but he
basically
could
had
tell.
an exorcism. He had to
Yes,
do an exorcism.
he does them,
Wow.
Oh shit.
and they filled up. And so what happens is, my dad tells me, he says, if you ever watch shows, right, of demons back in say the 70s, right, and you watch a show about a demon now in the 2000s, why do they look so much different? Because people actually visualize this shit now. Like, they've been seen. That's why they look the way that they look now, and they
okay.
haven't how they did.
They didn't know what it looked like back then, and now that it's
Right.
become a popular thing.
Exactly. Now people are actually seeing this, and they can put an actual face to the shit that's
What
really
the
happening. But there's been people who've thrown up like filled up several trash
Yeah.
bags with foam.
Yeah, I've
And-
got some stories of that.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Specifically foam.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, it's legit. Like, dude.
Like I've heard like black vial and like
No, that's exaggeration. It's
Yeah.
usually like foam. Like I was at a thing called Acquire the Fire. It's a youth like concert thing, and they had this whole thing. And this girl, she was praying over everybody. She prayed over me. I don't know if I was the one that had it or what, but yeah, like they were doing this huge thing, and she was over there praying. She started like speaking in tongues and stuff, and then all of a sudden, like I look back, and they have the like it almost looked like that, but it was like bigger, just like this big, or like a pot maybe, and she's just going "Whoa!" like, and
Oh,
like
yeah.
she's literally like shooting out white shit,
Foam.
and I like she didn't have her
that's
head.
crazy.
in
I've
the,
never heard of this.
Oh,
she
yeah.
didn't have
Never
her
heard
head
from. I've heard like many like
in the pot. She
that's
was
real.
going like
exorcisms and stuff, but
and just looking straight and just like throwing up white shit.
didn't
And I remember
we
I,
have an episode on exorcisms?
I remember I like
Yeah.
I remember
That's-
I looked at it and I was just like, oh, that's fucking crazy. Like I thought maybe she just made herself sick walking around. Like that's what but yeah, it was the same
I
shit.
know some people who've been to what they call quote unquote retreats,
Yeah.
and you stay a whole weekend there.
Yeah.
I know a guy who went there, dude, and he literally like told him like, let me the fuck out of here. Like, I can't take it. Like, they were fucking throwing up and like barking like dogs and shit. Like, man, they're trying to get everything, everything out.
Yeah.
And like I said, man, my dad is like hands on deck. Like, I'm telling you, dude, it's
That's
this
cool.
like, he's hands on deck, like all that. And it's like, the stories are just like absolutely terrifying to me.
I can't imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, you like just imagine being in that situation and praying for these people, and you're just watching them do what they got to do to get whatever's inside of them out of it.
Yeah. Throwing up is like a big one.
Yeah,
And
throwing up is
it's
a big one.
natural, like the body's trying to get whatever's in it out. Yeah.
Damn, that's
I
scary.
can't believe
bro.
I never told y'all about that.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's-
no. First time hearing it.
Well, see, he know that
that there.
phone, man. We on the same page. He know that phone, man.
She's moving awfully a lot back there.
Keep behind us.
He like, wait, hold up. I remember when we did our exorcism story,
Okay.
it was very heavy. That was a heavy episode. But all right, we gonna call it?
I do believe
Yeah.
so.
once again, thank you, Marcus, for
Yes,
coming
thank
on.
Thank
you
y'all,
so
man.
much.
Awesome, man. Thank
Appreciate
y'all
it.
for having me over here, bro.
All right, that's it
Badass.
for episode 27 of Dead Reflections Podcast. We'd like to shout out our friends in Dark Hour Podcast, Honolulu Podcast, Magnus Archives, and Marcus and his TikTok, Laugh Now, Die Later.
Yes, sir.
And if you're in the market for a newer used car, come
Yeah.
on down to Cavender and just ask for Marcus.
Hell yeah.
Cavender Auto Country in Weimar, Texas.
Let's go. Let's
yeah.
go. We encourage y'all to give them a listen or review and check them out.
You can follow us at Dead Reflections Podcast on all social medias or follow the link tree to find our socials. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. I guess we need to promote that one a little
Hell
bit
yeah.
now. And the video version of this podcast on YouTube. Email us at deadreflectionspod@gmail.com to submit your stories. Let us know how we're doing or let us know how much you hate the Lakers. All band-related socials can be found at FWFTX.
Please don't forget to leave a rating or review anywhere you listen. They really do help us get our name out there to find new listeners. Thank you for your continued support, and remember, tell your family, tell your friends, and tell the monsters under your bed to listen to Dead Reflections Podcast and check out Laugh Now, Die Later on TikTok. Have a spooky night.